This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Sunday, and hey, check this out. We are back on YouTube. It's been a while. What's going on, peoples? Good evening. Welcome. Sorry, I had to take Thursday off. Sometimes that happens, and the work responsibilities catch up with me, and that's where I was at. So hey, good evening, welcome. But we got plenty of news to catch up on, including shit that we missed on Thursday that I'm sure I'll touch on. Julie, good evening, welcome in. I'm not high enough for this shit. We're gonna correct that here in just a minute. It's just another day in Plane Crash USA. Plane crashes in Pennsylvania this time. I think we've already had one. There was one in Pittsburgh just a couple weeks ago. This time it's outside of Philadelphia. Dang. State of emergency has been declared in New York City because of wildfires. I've got some insane crime stories for you tonight. 9 dismembered students were found along a Mexican road. A man played, and I don't think this is related to the last story, but it could be. It could be. A man played soccer with a head, was arrested for it. Why am I laughing? That's horrible. In Tennessee, students were shocked to walk into a classroom and find that their teacher had shot himself in the head. No foul play is suspected. A wild video of a woman getting shot in a Chicago nightclub. Video of I guess a customer who was irate with the CarMax in their area rammed their car into the front of the building. A principal forced a 9-year-old to clean up another student's urine, according to that student's mother. I've got an infuriating story out of Columbia University in New York, where they have apparently just made a student disappear extrajudiciously for no reason other than he was protesting on behalf of Palestinians. Free speech, am I right? We've got Kristi Noem. She was on the morning show, and this is just going to be out of curiosity for me. Once again, I'm not a pre-watch Andy. I don't watch any of these clips. I don't read these stories before we do them. I basically only know the headlines. I wonder, it was CBS, I think. She was on with Face the Nation. Is that CBS? Did CBS have the goddamn balls to ask Kristi Noem about the student that was disappeared by DHS? Don't spoil it for me if you saw the clip this morning. That is for my own curiosity. I want to know, did CBS have the journalistic integrity to ask Kristi Noem about the student that her agency disappeared from Columbia University this weekend? We'll see. We'll see. You want to take bets in the put up a poll, guys. Who in the chat thinks CBS is going to have the balls to ask the right question of the Homeland Security Secretary on their show this morning? Does anybody think the CBS has the balls? Because I don't. ICE leakers are facing prosecutions, apparently. They're giving polygraph tests to people who work in DHS to try to ferret out who the leaker is. I got a federal worker who got fired, says he wished he never voted for Trump. Remember that kid from the State of the Union that Trump used as a prop? He has a message for Democrats. And the dad of that kid has a message for Rachel Maddow. We've got a new prime minister designate in Canada, and it was a fucking landslide. So you're going to hear the final speech from Justin Trudeau as he makes his way out the door. And I'm going to tell you who is I just wrote his last name down. I just wrote Corny. What the fuck is his first name? Mark Corny. Mark Corny. Almost called him Patrick Carney, but that's the dude from the Black Keys. And he is not the Prime Minister designate of Canada. Maybe he will be someday, but not today, folks. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. Good evening, DJ Dub. Were they leaking into Dan Crenshaw's eye hole? I would hope not. That is my eye put. Oh, fuck.
And a third chance, minus my 25% chance, and you got an 8 1/3 chance of winning.
I didn't reset Scott Steiner. I'm sorry. Scott Steiner came poking out at us. You know, if I'd had my way, I'd be leaking into Dan Crenshaw's eye pussy. Here is your meme of the day. Remember when the mayor of Knox County tombstoned the U.S. Secretary of Education? Saturday Night Live showed this picture last night. Though they didn't mention that Kane is the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. She got tombstoned, by the way. She got tombstoned on the entrance ramp by the Big Red Machine Kane. Avalon, good evening. This is the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. Right before he tombstones the U.S. Secretary of Education. Our president is a WWE Hall of Famer. Stone Cold has stunned the President of the United States, ladies and gentlemen. I wonder how he feels about that. I've never heard him be asked that in an interview. I wonder if people don't know that. These people that are like interviewing him now are like kids on the internet and shit, because I watched him at like a racetrack. I don't think the dude knew anything about Stone Cold, right? So, like, does he know that Stone Cold gave a stunner to the President of the United States of America? We're going to start off tonight with the holiday that took place this weekend. Not holiday in the chat. The holiday that took place this weekend. Yesterday, International Women's Day. Unfortunately, because we have done such a horrible job as a society, women didn't get to just take the fucking day off and kick back. They had to go out and protest shit like the Trump administration.
Hundreds also gathered to mark the day and rally in San Francisco. The theme of the protest, Unite and Resist, supporting women and pushing back against the actions of the Trump administration. NBC Bay Area's Christy Smith explains.
People gathered near Union Square Saturday carrying signs, marching, and speaking out.
We're at risk of losing every right that we've come up with in the last how many years.
Today, some people said what they've seen that they oppose under the Trump administration is mostly in line with what they expected.
Unfortunately, yes.
but not to the extreme that it's happening right now, and not the swiftness that it's happening. It is frightening. It is absolutely frightening.
Oh, I expected it to be this extreme and swift.
People joined in today carrying signs and pushing back with a theme of unite and resist. It was one of hundreds of similar events planned in different cities.
Frankly, there is no International Women's Day without showing support to people around the world. Currently, my biggest problem is Trump, full stop.
And that was what some people needed to protest.
I'm here trying to raise awareness and rally with people who are like me. Maybe they don't know that there are protests going on. Maybe they just need to see someone rising up because they feel so gaslit by what's going on right now.
Economy, environment, women's rights.
And they marched, many with a message they hope is heard.
That women's health care deserves rights, and it deserves not to be something that's given permission, but something that is valued and is a common decency. It's just like men's research. We deserve equality.
In San Francisco, Christy Smith, NBC Bay Area News.
Fuck yeah. Little moment of levity with which I mean this isn't a moment of levity. This is yet another dystopian reality that women in this fucking country face. This is a video. Apparently the cops were called. Ah, God damn it. Do I have to be logged into fucking TikTok? I fucking hate TikTok. I hate it so goddamn much. Fuck. Urgh. For a 9-second fucking clip. God, I hate you, TikTok. Okay, here is a clip of cops in Tucson where two women apparently had the cops called on them because some stupid fuck thought they were trans.
They came in here in the girls' restroom because I'm a girl and they didn't think I was a girl, so they tried to come take me away because I'm a girl.
The only women in that restroom, or the only men in that restroom, were the cops. A cisgender woman in Arizona speaking out after she says she was harassed by cops in the women's restroom at a Tucson Walmart last month. Kalayla Morton, 19, of Phoenix, says she and her ex-girlfriend were using adjacent stalls in the store's women's restroom when two male sheriffs entered. They were flashing lights at her feet and saying, you have to get out of here. You have to come out. We need to talk to you. Morton, who identifies as a stud, a queer slang for a masculine presenting lesbian, says she believes a store employee who had been eyeing her earlier reported her to cops believing she was a man. As the advocate notes, Arizona law does not dictate that people use public restrooms that correspond to the sex they were assigned at birth. In social media videos and in her interview with the outlet, Morton said that when she exited the bathroom stall, she lifted her shirt to prove to deputies that she was a woman. My God. But she said one of the deputies continued to insist that she looked like a man. Objectively me, welcome in. And all we got was the brief video of the encounter. Dude looks like Andrew Tate. And by that I mean stupid. Fragwitz. Yeah, apparently. It didn't say that she had to, but she felt the need to. In order to just prove herself, apparently. Good thing she didn't get a titty slap.
A titty slap! What the? Give me those titties,
Come on now.
Oh, is there Flash? Oh, apparently we have a statement from the sheriff's office, too. We have reviewed the social media video involving 2 deputies working an off-duty post at a Walmart. An internal investigation is currently underway, and we are working with store personnel to determine what exactly occurred. Once the investigation is complete, we will speak to its findings. Yeah, sounds about right. She's definitely a stud. Good on her. Yeah, I don't see it either. But we got the comments from her. Getting me off track. Flash, good evening. Zon, welcome in. Bragwitz, hope you are all doing well. Another quick International Women's Day post for you. One of the most badass women of all time gave birth yesterday on International Women's Day, apparently. And for some reason, she was wearing pearls and sunglasses when she did. Because she's just, you know, that badass. Did she have them on the whole time? She says, yes, I gave birth in pearls and sunglasses. Don't ask, a lot was happening. Claudius Maximus, welcome in. So, she says, a little miracle on International Women's Day. Also on International Women's Day, several groups decided to protest specifically for Palestinian women in solidarity with what is going on with Gaza and the West Bank currently. This one is in Korea. Stockholm, Sweden. It's a shame we have to make these women work on International Women's Day. This is Paris, France. And that brings us to our top story tonight. And the one that should definitely piss you the fuck off. Because what the fuck is going on in this country? Mahmoud Khalil, student leader of Columbia protest, arrested. A U.S. immigration enforcement agent said Khalil's permanent residency was also being revoked, according to the protest leader's lawyer. This is 100% a man who was here legally with a green card. He is a student visa. United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents have arrested a Palestinian graduate student who played a prominent role in last year's pro-Palestinian protests at New York's Columbia University, the Student Workers Union said on Sunday. The student, Mahmoud Khalil, at the university's School of International and Public Affairs, was arrested at his university residence on Saturday. Khalil's wife is a U.S. citizen, and he has a permanent residency green card. He remained in detention on Sunday. Khalil's wife declined to comment through one of Khalil's fellow students. Khalil's lawyer, Amy Greer, told the Associated Press news agency that she spoke by phone with one of the ICE agents during the arrest, who said they were acting on State Department orders to revoke Khalil's student visa. Informed by the lawyer that Khalil was in the country as a permanent resident with a green card, the agent said they were revoking that too. This student he was a graduate student, or is a graduate student at Columbia University, was one of the lead protesters standing up for Palestinian rights. Mahmoud Khalil. Greer said the authorities declined to tell Khalil's wife, who is 8 months pregnant, whether he was accused of committing a crime. Khalil has since been transferred to an immigration detention facility in Elizabeth, New Jersey. We have not been able to get any more details about why he is being detained, Greer told the AP. This is clear escalation. The administration is following through on its threats. The arrest appeared to be among the first known actions under President Trump's pledge to deport international students who joined the protest against Israel's war in Gaza that swept college campuses last year. His administration has claimed participants forfeited their rights to remain in the country by supporting Hamas, which is designated as a terror organization by the U.S. The move has been described as an attack on First Amendment freedoms. Oh, fucking duh. Khalil, an Algerian citizen of Palestinian origin, has been one of the school administrator's lead negotiators of the pro-Palestinian student protesters, some of whom set up a tent encampment on a Columbia lawn last year and seized control of an academic building for several hours in April before police entered the campus to arrest them. Khalil was not in the group that occupied the building, but was a mediator between Columbia provosts and the protesters. The protesting students called for Columbia's divestment from companies with ties to Israel, a ceasefire, and an end to the war that killed nearly 50,000 Palestinians and turned the enclave into rubble after nonstop bombardment. The U.S. provided the bulk of the ammunition for the war. There you see a picture of Khalil. He is the one holding the paper in the middle. Columbia said last year that it would consider expediting some of the students' demands through its investment committee. Rights groups have accused Israel of committing genocide in Gaza, home to 2.3 million people, despite a ceasefire in place. Since January 19th, Israel has blocked the entry of any aid into Gaza since March 1st, drawing condemnation from rights groups and aid agencies. Today, they killed an aid worker in Rafah, I believe. The October 7th, 2023 Hamas attack on Israel and subsequent Israeli military offensive on Gaza led to months of pro-Palestinian protests that roiled U.S. college campuses. At least 1,100 people were killed in the Hamas attack, and some 240 people were taken captive. Most of the captives have been released as part of a truce deal. New round of truce talks will resume in the Qatari capital of Doha come tomorrow. Students at Columbia are still pledging to protest despite threats from the administration. I got cotton mouth. Pro-Palestinian protest groups at Columbia University and Barnard College pledged over the weekend to continue their infamous demonstrations after President Donald Trump ordered the halt of $400 million in federal grants for embattled Columbia. And Immigration and Customs Enforcement detained a Palestinian student involved in last spring's encampment. The Upper West Side educational institutions have received widespread criticism from Jewish students and community members for failing to curb what they cited as rampant anti-Semitism with ongoing student protests that most recently culminated in a clash with police during a March 5th Barnard occupation. We didn't even cover that on the show. I might not have been on that night. That might have been Thursday. No, that was Wednesday. In response to the ongoing unrest, the Trump administration announced on Friday that it had canceled $400 million in federal grants to Columbia University over what it deemed to be the school's failure to curb anti-Semitism on campus. The loss of funding and accusations of hatred have seemingly not dissuaded protesters, with the students and alumni blasting Trump's decision. The Trump administration has frozen $400 million of funding for the university without due process in the name of anti-Semitism, Barnard Alumni for Palestine wrote on their Instagram, alleging that it was a case of the right-wing president furthering his agenda to defund higher education. The group went on to pledge to continue rallying at the college in lieu of both the funding cut and several expulsions. We cannot allow the movement for Palestinian liberation to be used as a scapegoat. Fuck, they wrote it like Trump. blamed for Colombia's $400 million loss. The fight for Palestinian resistance must continue. The fight against authoritarian regimes must continue. Fellow students protest collective Columbia University Apartheid Disvest also railed against the White House's decision to pull the funds, calling it a scare tactic and a plan to prevent them from receiving an education in order to be better informed. The Trump administration's announcement that it plans to cancel $400 million in federal grants and contracts to Columbia is a transparent scare tactic, the protesters said in a statement. This decision has nothing to do with the fabricated charges of anti-Semitism. They are using a thin cover to slash funding. And they're exactly right. And anybody who claims to stand for free speech should be outraged about what happened to these students. Put your money where your mouth is and stand up for them. Michael, good evening. George Swizz, good evening, my friend. Welcome in over there on the YouTube. Now we get the answer to my question. Did Kristi Noem? Now, here's the one thing I will say. The news of the Palestinian student being detained by DHS had made the rounds on Twitter last night. I was aware of it last night, right after it happened. Talia Jane, great reporting on it. It didn't really hit the national news consciousness until this afternoon. That is when the AP story, the Reuters story, BBC, Al Jazeera all wrote about it within like the last 5 hours. So if I'm being generous, CBS didn't know about the arrest of the student when they had Kristi Noem on this morning. But if they were good journalists, the information was available and I knew about it, they should have known about it if they are good journalists. And that should have been a question that was asked of the Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem this morning on Face the Nation.
Security, Kristi Noem. Madam Secretary, good to have you in person. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
I want to dive right into this trade war. The justification President Trump invoked these tariffs under had to do with fentanyl. Mexico's president said Thursday that Customs and Border Protection figures show seizures of fentanyl on the southern border have dropped over the past year. She claimed they plummeted 75% in the past 6 months. Doesn't that show the existing system is working?
We've seen incredible progress as far as what we've been able to stop at the southern border since President Trump has taken office. And I think that...
But don't get me wrong.
That progress can be built.
Her earrings, her makeup, outfit, everything is on point. She looks amazing. She can still be my GOP mommy. But, ma'am, you are a piece of shit.
Built on these partnerships that we have in going after traffickers, cartels, the drug trade, and also human trafficking can be even stronger and built on in the future. That's one of the things we've been asking for, in specific to the Mexican government, is how can we work better together to make sure we not only have the enforcement,
Mox, good evening,
but south of the border, and make sure we're going after these cartels. You've seen the president.
Let's not talk about a woman's looks,
terrorist
other than to compliment them.
Canada just recently is starting to allow us
the day after International Women's Day.
Background histories that we need in order to know who's coming across our border and what they're bringing. So because of his strong stance on tariffs, we're seeing them wanting to be better partners with us to keep our people safe.
So Canada's Prime Minister said it's totally false to claim Canada's unwilling to fight fentanyl. You just indicated they're willing to do more here. He pointed to CBP data that showed a 97% drop in fentanyl seizures from January compared to December, a near zero low, he said.
Yeah,
Is the data accurate?
The data is getting better. And I would say in the conversations that I've had this week with Canadian officials, they were hoping to avoid the tariffs and had a lot of conversations, but not a lot of action. So this is the hope, is that the fact that President Trump has said something and now has enforced consequences, we really are hoping for even better partnerships. We need access to their criminal background system so that we know when someone crosses that northern border, who they are, why they're in our country, and who they may be partnering with. We also need them to work with us.
Those dangerous Canucks.
Packages, technology investments. Canada has said they will do that. We just want to see them actually do it. In the past, promises have been made by both Mexico and Canada that they didn't follow through on. Their naming of a fentanyl czar in Canada is important. That's great. Now let's see really what happens.
What is with the czar thing?
That's why you've seen the data going our direction. But boy, every day people in this country are dying of overdoses. And I don't want any more families to have to deal with that tragedy.
Blame Canada.
Avoided and
yes, Avalon Jinx.
So you just gave specific
Oregon gal, welcome in.
Canada and Mexico can do, presumably to avoid the tariffs that are now being pushed off till April 2nd. The Commerce Secretary said in another network, if fentanyl ends, I think these will come off. But if fentanyl does not end, or he's uncertain about
I said it the other day, like fucking in the Obama administration, it was like Bill O'Reilly or Glenn Beck or whoever the fuck their talking head was at that time, like was calling people in the Obama administration a czar as like a dig on them. And then now somehow 15 years later, it's an actual position in our government? How did that happen? What?
it, meaning the president, they will stay on until he's comfortable. Is it that general, or are these very specific things that you can kind of go through and check to avoid these tariffs?
Yeah, I've had very specific conversations with Canadian officials and Mexican officials on what they can do. So they know what they can do to help avoid tariffs.
No, Mox. No, I am not going to blame Clinton. I'm going to blame the right-wingers that started using it as a dig. And, like, how is it all of a sudden a position?
Tariffs in the future and what we're expecting of them. If they do it, we shall see. We all recognize that each one of these leaders has political environments in their home countries as well, but President Trump means business, and he meant it when...
Oh, I might have forgotten about the drug czar. Do we have evidence of this czar usage beforehand, Mox? I will take back what I said. Throw it. Did we indeed have a drug czar? But like that wasn't the official title, was it though?
And since he's taken office, that he will put America first. And every day in this country, we have seen over the last several years,
microphone's killing me.
And unsafe streets and cities, and people lose their children and grandchildren. And he's taking action to make sure that we're cleaning up the mess that Joe Biden left behind, and that we have a much safer country, and where Americans can look forward to the future.
So this is not just leverage to get a better free trade deal. This is not just because President Trump truly believes that tariffs are the heart of his economic policy.
Right.
You're saying this really is about fentanyl?
It really is about fentanyl. It really is. And I think that President obviously wants a strong economy, obviously wants better trade deals as well.
Oh my God. It's the injected plastic you hear when she moves her hair.
Can do to stop the cartels from partnering with Chinese officials, laundering money, and bringing a poison into our country that is specifically designed to kill the next generation.
Why did Biden invent fentanyl?
Don't understand the strategy of these enemies of the United States and what they're utilizing. They are bringing this in not just to make money. They're bringing it in here to kill Americans. And it's time that we stand up for the people that live here and make sure that we're stopping this war against our children.
I want to ask you, border crossings, they're at a 25-year low.
They are. It's fantastic.
There are 6,000 U.S. military personnel working at the border now. That number could go up to 9,000 by the end of the month. How long do you have to keep them there if the numbers are already dropping like this?
You know, we'll continue the partnership with the Department of Defense, but also partnerships with Commerce, with the Attorney General's office. You know, we're working every day with the Secretary of State. We'll keep them there until that border is...
Okay, so I will retract my statement from earlier And we'll all admit that, like, apparently this is our thing, goes back to FDR. We just weren't familiar with it. So, oh well. You learn something new every day.
Completely secure, and we see all-time record lows of encounters. Our Border Patrol is doing fantastic work, but we're going to keep them there till the whole world gets the message that this isn't
not high enough for this shit.
This is
Thank you for looking that up, Mox.
Trump's country, where we have a border, where we have laws, and it applies equally to everybody. I think that is what is so refreshing, is that we're not picking and choosing winners and losers anymore. Americans have to live by the law. So do those who come to this country. You have to come here legally, or there will be consequences.
Let me ask you about what's happening internally when it comes to, excuse me, migration. The administration has revived this policy of detaining migrant families, parents with children, in ICE detention centers. Bush did it, Obama did it, Biden did not. Have you seen these Texas facilities where children are being held with their parents? Are you comfortable with it personally?
We've got detention facilities across the country, and there's specific ones that are built specifically for families if they are detained. But remember, everybody has an option. They have an option to be here legally or illegally, and they can self-deport as well. We've set up a system and a website where people who are here illegally right now can register, and they
I'd just be afraid she'd want to put me down after she was done with me.
united. Well, the kids do have a choice. If they have parents, they make a choice to keep their families together if they want to, or not. If parents make a decision to leave their children behind, then that's a choice that they made as a family. And we need to remember that when Americans break the law and they have consequences or face a situation, they're separated from their families too. I don't believe we should prioritize people from other countries above Americans.
But when it comes to reviving the policy of separating families from their children at the border,
We're actually reviving it.
That's what I want to ask you.
President Biden didn't follow the law. He didn't follow the law in the fact that it's always been equally applied until his administration. And then he made decisions to ignore federal law in how he handled immigration and enforcement within our borders. And so today we're expanding our team at ICE, and we're going to have an acting director in Todd Lyons, who has a long history with Tom Homan. They have worked together to build.
Well, that doesn't give me confidence.
So we're also naming a deputy secretary in Madison Sheehan that was going to be another expansion of this team. They've done incredible work cleaning up our communities and making them safer. Adding to the team with Todd and with Madison is going to allow us to partner with local law enforcement officials to make sure that we truly are following through on enforcing the law. And if you break our law, then there's going to be consequences.
So you want the number of deportations to tick up?
I do.
So we never had a formal position of czar until 20. So this is a new thing.
Giving them that opportunity to do that, and we will help facilitate that. And if they don't, and they end up coming into our enforcement opportunity.
That's what like the drug czar wasn't called the drug czar.
So people need to remember, if they self-deport,
like the Office of National Drug Control Policy or some shit.
You have a capacity issue right now in terms of just beds to put people in when you detain them. Are you going to open up military facilities like Fort Bliss?
There is, yes, a plan to use the facilities at Fort Bliss for detention facilities, but also we need to remember to ask, Congress needs to continue through with funding that this administration has asked for. You know, we clearly have a CR discussion in front of us this week. We have a reconciliation discussion. That reconciliation bill needs to happen. We have just weeks before we are out of the funds to continue the operations that we have. And even everywhere I've been in this country out there, looking at what President Trump has done on immigration and border enforcement, the people that I meet are saying thank you. Thank you for getting these terrorists.
Kim Petras is the throat czar.
In just 1 month,
have you deported
22 known and terrorists on the terrorist watch list are out of this country now. We have almost 700 gang members that have been deported out of the country in just a month. And
which have been redefined as foreign terrorist organizations
well,
by the Trump administration.
281 specific TDA members, which we know are the worst of the worst, have been taken out of this country. So everyone that has a story like Laken Riley's family or Jocelyn's family.
Oh my God.
That won't be perpetuated amongst other families in other states.
I want to ask you, you said that you have found leakers within DHS and you're going to prosecute them. Back on February 9th, you tweeted, "The FBI is so corrupt. We'll work with any and every agency to stop leaks. Were you wrong then to blame the FBI?
It's all been PR, Shelley.
No, I think there's leakers all over.
Does everybody in the chat know that in the first month of because we now have the numbers, in the first month of the Trump administration, they deported less people than Biden deported, like on an average month. It's insane. They actually deported less people. But boy, did they make a show of it. They sent Dr. Phil out so basically what they've been doing is pretty much the same thing they've always been doing, but doing it less effectively because it's the Trump administration. But actually spending all this money on PR and doing all these news hits and going out and creating all this media to make it seem like they're actually deporting people. I don't even know which is worse at this point in time. Is it worse that the fucking Republicans are saying they're deporting people, and they are being callous about it? They're probably being less, because when Biden deported people, and the reason you didn't hear about it is it probably actually was people with criminal records, and they were sure of what they were doing. Trump just going out here and deporting people willy-nilly, and we're getting U.S. citizens caught up in these fucking dragnets and shit. God damn. Just what a dystopian. It is absolute dystopian. Monster Balls, welcome in. Good evening. I'm not high enough for this shit.
Throughout this government. I think that everybody needs to be, I think these, and DHS specifically, these two, were leaking our enforcement operations that we had planned and we're going to conduct in several cities, and expose law enforcement to vulnerabilities, to those ops being jeopardized to where their lives would be in danger. So they will be prosecuted, and they could face up to 10 years in federal prison because they did that. Anyone who is leaking information outside of how something is planned for the safety of those law enforcement officers needs to be held accountable for that.
And you're going to continue these polygraphing
absolutely
of employees?
Oh, DJ Dub, it drives me fucking nuts. And then to hear the right-wingers tell me how fucking biased the media is, and I'll agree with you. They're biased towards the fucking corporate agenda, towards the capitalist agenda, towards the status quo, towards the neoliberal order. But they're not biased towards the left like you stupid fucks think. She's just traveling around doing photo ops with her poor quality cheek reconstruction. Now I'm going to say, that doesn't mean she don't look good doing it. Hey girl, would you like to be my GOP mommy? Everything about her is fake, though. Her cheeks are fake. I bet those aren't even, that's not her real hair. Those are hair extensions, aren't they? Bet her nails aren't even painted on. They're like snap-on nails or some shit. This woman is fake as can be. I don't think I love her. Have I felt love in my life? I don't know. I've loved people. I love my friends. I know what love is. I've had, and then when people talk about, there's the lightning bolt. Like, I've felt that twice in my life. Like, locked eyes with a woman and been like, oh shit. One of them was when I was a photographer for an Olin Mills. This is about like 2007. This woman's just had 2 kids. Apparently she's having some kind of problem there. This is something I found out later, right? Because like she's just a customer in my booth. Like the first time I lock eyes on her, it's like fucking wobbly knees and shit. And she ended up like making excuses to come back and get like pictures. And like she was saying something to me. I was like, oh my God, you felt it too. But that's just like a chemical reaction you have with somebody. Like, I think the problem is like people feel that because like it's a thing that happens and it's there for a little while, but like I think then you chase the dragon and then that's how these bad relationships happen. And people aren't educated like exactly what love is and what these feelings are. It's all brain chemistry. It's addictive. You feel that fucking that lightning bolt with somebody and you want to do it again. I mean, I'm an addict. I fucking understand it. You want to do it again and again and again, but like it's always diminishing returns. It's the same way. Same way with the people you're fucking. So like, and if we explain that to kids, they won't go up with these weird expectations, because I think it's wrong that we teach kids like there's like the one that you will find out there. No, you will love many people throughout your life and you'll fall in and out in love with them. And that's perfectly normal. You may find a one person that you jive with and you're with for the rest of your life. That's possible, but it's rare. You know, it's one of those things, like we need to be honest with how relationships work. Don't get your hopes up that the first person that you meet, like with guys, like my buddy, like we were like, first woman that lets him fuck him regularly, he's going to marry, and that's exactly what he did. First time he got pussy regularly. He's still married to her, though. He's got 3 kids, so it kind of works out. Like, they do really work out together, so I don't know, because that's my best buddy. It happens, but most people, like, you can't expect that. Most relationships are what, about, like, 3 to 7 years. Oregon gal, I salute you. That's awesome. That is the exception, not the rule, though. I've never felt love, but infatuation. I like that. That's good. Maddie B, welcome in. Good to hang out with you last night. 25 fucking years, a quarter of a century. A quarter of a fucking century. Oregon gal, I will smoke one to that. Oh, I need to pack another one. You guys want to smoke with me? Get your bowl packed. I'm off the rails tonight. I'm sorry. We'll get back to the news here in a second. We were doing good. Quarter of a fucking century. How do you stand him? I'm sure there's things that like, you know, bug you. I had another friend. He was the director at a TV station I worked at. And he had a wife. And he had met her later on in life, right? And they just jive. They're both movie geeks. And Disney geeks and shit. She's a creative as well. I think she like painted and shit like that, and then she would star in like his little movies that he would do and shit. Worked out well. And like, because I remember I was talking at the booth one time. I was like, relationships are too much work, and he's like, bro, it ain't work for me. Like, we just like it's a thing. You don't have to work at it. But some people had to put work into relationships, but that's. Each situation is different. I've never had a relationship longer than 3 years. And even those probably shouldn't have gone 3 years. They probably went like a year too long. But if I had life to do over again, I would have went to school with like my first girlfriend. Like, I had dropped out of college and came back to work at the radio station because I felt like a badass working at the radio station as opposed to being a student in college. And my girlfriend was like the daughter one of my coworkers at the radio station, and she was a senior right after, I had just graduated. She's a senior. I should have gone to college with her. Oh, well. She wanted to go to University of Louisville. Let's get back to the news. I've jibber-jabbered enough. But I did want to light one up for a working gal in quarter of a fucking century. That's an accomplishment. We probably would have ended up splitting it. I also, I was a horrible person. 19, 20-year-old me. I don't even know, what she saw in me. I was a horrible person. T-, good evening. And, she fucking loved me. In a way, I did not deserve. Cause get this, when we broke up, it was right before Valentine's Day, for the last time, and she came over and threw my Valentine's Day present at me, and it was a jar where she had written out a reason for every day that she loved me, and spent time on it. Each one was very thoughtful. And boy, did that make me feel horrible. Oh, who would want me, working gal? Oh man, she's a very accomplished woman. She brags about how much money she makes. It's one of the she works for this insurance company, right? Or not an insurance company. The way she described it to me, I went, that's a Ponzi scheme, right? And she's like, it's not a Ponzi scheme. Because it's you've got to, go out and recruit agents to sell this fucking brand of insurance. I'm like, no, that's totally a Ponzi scheme. You're just a fucking executive at a multi-level marketing company. And she's like, that's not what it is. But she's apparently doing very well for herself. And her husband will stab me to death. Agent Pipeline was what it was. I'm giving away way too much info. I probably shouldn't be doing this. Is that a scam? Could you look that up, Flash? Her husband has sworn to stab me to death. He apparently made that threat when he was in prison, though, so I don't fucking know. I've never met the guy. I have no idea. Other than that he exists, I don't know who the fuck he is. Well, no, I swear to you, everything I have just said is true. Dude is threatened to stab me, but she at some point she left him. Because she'd been with him for fucking years now. So she left him in 2012 or something. And at the time, I was seeing I was head over heels for this girl in college. The one that fucked my head up, apparently. But she had broke up with him, and then she calls me, and she's trying to get me to move in with her. She's like, come live with me. We'll be a couple again. I'm like, I'm a sophomore in college. I just found this awesome girl that I think I'm madly in love with. You want me to just leave this and move up there with you? And because of that, I think he wanted to stab me. I don't know. Is she with him? Is she no? I usually know if she's with him or not by whether I'm blocked on Facebook. If she's with him, I'm blocked on Facebook. If I'm not blocked on Facebook, she's not with him anymore. Or is separated at the time. Because about 2017 or something like that, she gets and I'm in 2017, I'm starting to feel like, I don't know what my next move is. I don't know what I want to do. This is before I really started streaming. And she starts like calling me and we're video chatting and she's like on the beach. And so she's got like her top and I think she had like her straps pulled down or something, like, you know, like sunning them or some shit. And she's like keeps pointing the phone right at her titties. So I'm like, all right, I guess we're doing this. So I started like flirting with her and then all of a sudden I'm blocked again. And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? News. Somebody tell me to get back to the news. Fuck. Tier 2, good evening. Welcome in. I've talked way too much. What? I don't even know what this story is. Let's do it.
Speaking to Congress here in Washington, but he's also speaking to the nation. A senior administration official tells NBC News that the theme is expected to be renewal of the American dream. And this is...
Wait a minute. This isn't what I... What? I guess it's this Instagram story, and that had nothing to do with the... What in the fuck? This is the laid-off worker. He says he regrets voting for Trump.
Putting people out, you know, and being told that you can't go to work anymore because you haven't been there for a year is just kind of horrible, you know. The Taxpayer Advocate Service is already undermanned as it is, and, you know, when the case advocates are averaging over 120 cases per person, and you're letting everybody go, how does that help the taxpayer?
Did you support President Trump in the last election?
Honestly, yeah, I did. I thought, you know, he would be someone that would, you know, because he talked a lot about taking care of the military, taking care of the veterans, taking care of the people that put him in office, and it just hasn't happened. So if I could go back in time, I would have voted for, you know, Vice President Harris in a heartbeat. I loved doing that job. I loved helping people out. You know, and being told that.
It's the first administration was one thing. Like that, like you voted for him in 2016. I can understand that. I sat that election out. I didn't vote. I get it. But after the first administration, after what happened in 2020, the classified documents, all of the, and this is, oh, I voted for Bernie in the primary. I didn't vote in the general. My problem was I just moved. I just moved and I didn't register. And I wasn't really particularly motivated to register, if you feel me. But I voted in the primary. Totally understand that, DJ Dub. And I assure you that voting for Jill Stein didn't cost Hillary. I would assume like fucking the amount of registered Democrats that voted for Trump far outnumbered you voting for Jill Stein. So I don't, because that was the case with Bush in 2000. Because the Democrats wanted to blame Ralph Nader, and more registered Democrats voted for Bush. And it was like it wasn't even close too. I was like almost double, I think, voted for Bush. The number of people that voted for Nader, which may not necessarily have been Democrats. Oh, I'm sure it didn't cost anything in Iowa. Do you guys remember that little kid? The cancer kid from the State of the Union? Everybody remember who I'm talking about? He got a message for you Democrats.
Thing is, we know you gotta bounce. What would your one piece of advice for the Secret Service be?
Please stop being mean to President Trump, because if I see you being mean to him, I'm coming after you.
I love that. I think you need to become the director of the Secret Service. DJ, it is such an honor to have met you.
Hold up, I got one more thing to say.
He has one more thing to say. I won't interrupt you.
If you're a Democrat and you're being mean to President Trump, I'm on your bumper.
You are about to go so viral, and you went viral last night.
He's on our bumper. He's on our bumper, he said. If you're mean to President Trump, he's on your bumper. The clinically welcome in. The dad of cancer survivor celebrated by Trump tells Rachel Maddow to shut her mouth. The NBC host's ill-advised take after Trump honored 13-year-old DJ Daniel during his speech ticked off the lads. What? When did Huffington Post stop being up Rachel Maddow's ass? What the hell? I never thought I'd be making fun of a cancer kid. Apparently, this was Rachel Maddow's take.
For the record, the worst inflation in this country was in 1980. For the record, the economy that he was left by President Biden was not a catastrophe. It was literally the best economy in the world and was described by The Economist magazine as the envy of the world. That was the economy that was left to Donald Trump by Joe Biden. For the record, Social Security is not paying benefits in large numbers to 300-year-old people or 250-year-old people or 200-year-old people or 150-year-old people. In fact, the idea of Social Security as a bastion of fraud and overpayment.
It was good if you had money.
False. For the record, U.S. auto company CEOs are not psyched and delighted and so excited about President Trump's economic policies, including his tariffs. Take, for example, the CEO of...
I mean, she's not wrong, but it's context, like you're saying. The economy is great for people who already have money. Those of us who are, under the $100,000 bracket, we ain't doing so well right now. The working class itself is, I wanted to say contracting, but the working class is expanding, actually. And the amount of wealth they have is contracting.
Ford, Jim Farley, who said that Trump's tariff policies would, quote, blow a hole in the U.S. auto industry that, quote, we've never seen. The president flat out lied about U.S. versus European spending to support what used to be about $125 billion to Ukraine's defense. Europe has committed...
She hasn't even said anything about the kid.
$9 billion. The president radically misstating the character and quantity of our relative support for what used to be our ally, now appears to be only Europe's ally and no longer ours. For the record, Joe Biden did not close over 100 power plants. There were more utility-sized power plants up and running in the United States when Joe Biden left office than when he achieved office. For the record, there is no EV mandate. For the record, oil and gas production in the United
States. This is why I didn't do this during his speech, because it would have been all fucking night of just boring shit. Mr. Strunk
has never claimed that they have saved hundreds of billions of dollars in savings. The largest items they have claimed to achieve as savings in the U.S. budget have been debunked and they've been taken down, but even they don't falsely claim hundreds of billions of dollars worth of saving. For the record, and this is disgusting, the president made a spectacle out of praising a young man who's thus far survived pediatric cancer, as if the president had something to do with that. This was in the midst of him praising Doge. The Doge cuts, among other things, have cut off funding for ongoing research into pediatric cancer.
Well, that was perfectly reasonable and absolutely true. So He made a spectacle out of the kid. Matt Al was right about federal funding for kids' cancer research being in jeopardy, but DJ's dad was taken aback that she criticized his son's big moment. She does not need to put her bad energy on us. She didn't. She just spoke facts, really. Matt Al wasn't the only host to catch flack for her analysis. MSNBC colleague Nicole Wallace also tried to make political points, and the result was cringy. Ooh, do we get this one as well? Is this Trump or just...
Who truly loves our police? Tonight, DJ.
Yeah, that's just that. Where's Nicole Wallace? Boo. Yeah, like, it's insane. That's what fascists do. They appeal to, you know, symbols, and we'll make a hero out of this. We'll make a hero and create a mythology around this kid. That's how they sell you bullshit. That's why you don't applaud cancer kids being used in political speeches. Mock's like, no, we don't need to hear Nicole Wallace. This one's gonna be worse. You probably will want me to have played Nicole Wallace instead of this. So it's on you, Mox. Are you ready? The very last speech as Prime Minister from one Mr. Justin Trudeau.
Ella Grace Trudeau. Amis libéraux.
All right, this is the daughter of Justin Trudeau. She is, I believe, 16 years old, Ella Grace, who's going to come out and introduce her dad. When I talk to liberals about who could be the next politician in the Trudeau family, this is who I am pointed to, Ella Grace. So let's see how she introduces her dad right now.
You don't have to run away, Mr. Sprung. It's just, this is history. We're covering the news.
I've come here to talk to you about your prime minister, your leader, but to me, it's just dad. Je crois qu'on sait tous que
I think we all know that being a prime minister is not the easiest job in the world. Long days of work, stress, media attention.
It's not that easy to be the kid of a prime minister either. I've been trying hard to live the life of a normal teenager, but I think you can imagine it's not that simple of a task. La sécurité, les règles,
security, rules, drama have all stopped me feeling free over the past few years. The number of times who spoke to me about him as if he wasn't my father. So that led me to doubt the integrity of some people.
I've had some great conversations with my dad about the difficult situations I've lived through, and he never failed to make me feel better. He listened.
I agree with clinically.
I knew he heard me. He understood me because he lived through all that. The only difference is that back then there was no social media. Imagine constantly seeing your dad or even news about him as you scroll through your...
There we go. Josephus.
You know, as I look out across this room, I have just one question.
You're stepping on my dick. I'm getting ready to do that.
What are you doing tonight? Ella Grace.
Ella Grace, I know that these last few years haven't been easy for Sav. Hey, Adrian, yourself. Thank you for having been so patient with me, even when I was stressed, when I was traveling too much, when I couldn't think about anything other than work. But please know that in the most difficult times, you inspired me. You gave me courage. You reminded me
I'm a fucking American. I don't need permission from your ass.
And not what was just urgent. Being Prime Minister of this country has been the honor of my life. But I'm so looking forward
I'm not high enough for this shit.
Devoting myself to my most important role, that of father. I'm proud of the three of you, and I love you above all.
Now, sit down. Now, I can imagine that you're all expecting me to stand up and talk about all that we've accomplished together. And don't get me wrong, I am damn proud of what we've done over these past 10 years.
I feel I give Canadian politics the attention it deserves.
But tonight,
we cover it when warranted.
As a party, as a country. Now, I know that we as Liberals, as a government, often get criticized by our friends for not taking a victory lap after we get something big done. We do something really big, and then we move on right away to the next challenge. Because as progressives, as Liberals, we know there is always more to do. So it is important to take the time to reflect on and share the big successes. But not tonight. Not tonight, because when Liberals gather, we're always focused on just one thing: the work that still needs to be done to build a country that stays worthy of all Canadians. And simply put, that's the work of a lifetime for each and every one of us. It's very simple. Liberals are dedicated to making this country even better, not because we think it's broken, but because we have an opportunity and therefore a responsibility to ensure that Canada stays the best country on earth.
It seems like a good time to duck out of his final speech as Prime Minister. Let's introduce you to the new Prime Minister of Canada. His name is Mark Carney. We're going to do a little introduction, and then I just went and found his speech. It actually hadn't gone up when I was coming on stream, so I had to go grab it. So we're going to hear a little bit of his victory speech after we find out who is Mark Carney, the next Prime Minister of Canada.
This is no time for politics as usual.
Mark Carney pitched himself as an outsider, not a politician, but someone who would have the skills needed to meet the moment.
No, it's not the time for lifelong politicians such as Pierre Poilievre.
He was born in Fort Smith, Northwest Territories, raised in Edmonton. His father, Bob, ran for the Liberals, coming in second to the Progressive Conservatives. Carney studied economics abroad, earning a bachelor's degree from Harvard University before getting his master's and PhD from Oxford. For 13 years, he worked for global investment banking firm Goldman Sachs, before holding several senior positions at the Bank of Canada and in the finance department in Ottawa.
CPP, QPP is not federal money, it is shared money for all Canadians.
In 2008, then Prime Minister Stephen Harper appointed Carney to run the Bank of Canada, the second youngest bank governor ever.
Some of the world's largest financial institutions have recorded...
Oh, he's a banking guy.
Amid the global...
Tells me all I need to know.
Carney called for widespread reforms to the world's financial system.
Double hats now as head of the International Financial Stability Board, so delighted you're able to join us, Mark.
Working alongside Harper Conservatives, Carney was credited for how well Canada weathered the financial storm compared to other nations. Even named as one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people in 2010, the only central banker on the list, alongside people like U.S. President Barack Obama.
Canada has shone, relatively speaking, in the world during the period of time in which Governor Carney has served as the governor of the Bank of Canada.
In 2013, Carney became the governor of the Bank of England, becoming the first ever foreigner to be named to that role. He later agreed to stay on at the helm for 2 extra years to help ease the Brexit transition. More recently, Carney worked for investment firm Brookfield Asset Management, served as the United Nations Special Envoy on Climate Action.
2/3 of carbon being priced by the end of the decade.
For years, he supported a carbon tax, only to walk away from the policy at the start of the leadership race.
Why don't I become a circus clown? I mean, it's like...
For more than a decade, Carney toyed with the idea of running for the top job of the Liberal Party.
I have gainful employment, and I intend to...
They said he positioned himself as an outsider.
Trudeau tapped Carney to serve as an informal advisor on the government's pandemic recovery plan.
So...
He immediately became a front-runner in the leadership race when Trudeau resigned earlier this year. He has never held public office, but Liberals bought his pitch. Now he will have to convince Canadians.
Jesus, Josepha, calm the fuck down. The fuck? Let's hear his victory speech. That was a very well done piece that described exactly his positions. I thought it was rather neutral. How could that be right-wing propaganda, sir?
Prime Minister, I think it's clear we should just skip a generation.
If it's right-wing propaganda, they made him sound palatable to right-wingers.
Wow. This room is strong. This room is Canada strong. Thank you, Cleo. Thank you, Cleo.
Yeah, likely story.
And to my wife, Diana, our children, Cleo.
Like Utah, but more French.
Amelia and Sasha. Without your support, I wouldn't be standing.
It certainly is. Lenny, good evening.
And like the Prime Minister, without your examples, I wouldn't have a purpose.
See, I told you guys, if somebody hadn't tell me it was daylight savings time, I wouldn't have known.
And without your love, I wouldn't have the strength that I need for what lies ahead. Thank you. Monsieur Chrétien, vous énergez encore les troupes et les partisans, les militants du Parti libéral, comme personne ne peut le faire. Vous avez marqué l'histoire en prenant des décisions courageuses. Vous avez montré à nos alliés que le Canada se tiendra toujours debout pour ce qui est juste. Et vous êtes une source d'inspiration pour tous les Canadiens et Canadiennes. And may I say
English, please.
That you inspired my family
Thank you.
Become liberal.
See, all you gotta do is ask.
Including my father to run as a liberal candidate in Alberta in the 1980s.
I don't know if there's anything to be horny
than
about
others.
with this dude.
And you inspired me.
Especially nothing to be horny about with that dude.
Over the
I
years.
think he was a former prime minister.
And now to
he
have
gave
an
a speech earlier.
To continue your tradition of fiscal responsibility, social justice, and international leadership.
Yeah, keep showing that dude. I will definitely not be able to get a hard on.
Prime Minister Trudeau,
Jean Chrétien. Is that how you
doesn't
say it?
permit me to recognize all your accomplishments. So I'll speak at a higher level. You have combined
clinically
and compassion every day as a fighter for Canada.
I hate Trudeau's haircut. I feel like he could have a much cooler haircut.
Through some of the hardest challenges that this nation has ever faced.
Why'd he go pompadour?
Et, en même temps, vous avez transformé le Canada, bien transformé notre pays, en sortant de centaines de milliers d'enfants de la pauvreté. en faisant vraiment avancer la réconciliation et en défendant la liberté et la démocratie toujours ici et ailleurs dans le monde. C'est vrai.
Okay, what do you mean by throttled? That could mean many things. It could mean choked.
Pour tout le monde.
It could mean fucked.
Pour votre travail acharné, comme Ella Grace l'a mentionné, votre travail acharné, votre leadership.
I love that aliens now the arbiter of World War II war crimes. We can let those slide. Good luck, Canada. That was the new Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney. I guess we'll be hearing more about him. His administration apparently set to call an election in the coming weeks. Should be soon, apparently. We're getting news out of Iran today that they are rejecting a offer to come back to the table on a nuclear deal.
Meantime, Iran is rejecting President Trump's call to negotiate a nuclear agreement. This prompted the White House to reiterate the president's remarks, saying Tehran can be dealt with, quote, either militarily or by making a deal. Iran's supreme leader criticized what he called Trump's bullying tactics. Still, some Republicans are hopeful that Iran and the U.S. can eventually strike a deal.
So easy for Iran. I mean, all they have to do is give up their nuclear weapon technology.
Ron Johnson.
You know, their alliances with Hezbollah and Hamas have been smashed. They're not going to be able to, stop fomenting, stop sponsoring terror throughout the world.
Well, this comes just days after the United Nations nuclear energy watchdog chief raised alarm about Iran's nuclear program, which has stepped up production of near weapons-grade uranium in the last 3 months.
Is that what's happening? Iran is demanding that the U.S. lift sanctions before the talks. Makes sense. Apparently, their neighbor, Syria, currently devolving into sectarian violence following the fall of the Assad regime a few months back.
Crowds of Syrians protested in the capital Damascus on Sunday, demanding an end to an outbreak of deadly violence that has killed many civilians. It came as clashes continued for a fourth day in the coastal heartland of deposed President Bashar al-Assad between Assad loyalists and forces backing the country's new leaders. Syria's interim president Ahmed Shara scrambled to contain the violence on Sunday as he called for peace outside a mosque in Damascus. He urged Syrians not to let sectarian tensions further destabilize the country, which has seen relative calm after Assad was toppled in December. Meanwhile, people were mourning on Sunday at a funeral for a student who was killed in the coastal Latakia province, one of the main areas of fighting. War Monitor Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said more than 1,000 people, mostly civilians, have been killed. It said women and children of Assad's Alawite religious minority were among the dead, and that the death toll was one of the highest since a chemical weapons attack on a Damascus suburb by Assad's forces in 2013. Authorities said the violence began after Assad loyalists launched deadly and well-planned attacks on their forces on Thursday. It sent security forces to crack down on the growing insurgency. Thousands of armed supporters of the new leaders showed up from across the country to back the Syrian troops before the battles spiraled into revenge killings. Syrian authorities have blamed unruly militias for summary executions and deadly raids in Alawite villages and towns.
Summary executions!
From social media over the past days, bodies were seen strewn on the ground in Latakia. Reuters was able to verify the locations of the videos, but not the date or the identity of the dead. Shara on Friday told Syria that Assad loyalists and those who had committed crimes would be pursued and brought to trial, adding that those who harm unarmed civilians would be held severely accountable. On Sunday, Shara's office said it was forming an independent committee to investigate the clashes and killings by both sides.
Josephus, why are you coming in so hot for? like you're talking about like Trudeau wanting to fight, like you're wanting to fight everybody in chat. What the fuck? Chill, my brother, chill. Let's have a smoke together, shall we? You want to smoke? Let's get high. You're among friends. You don't have to be salty in here. The Romanian far-right presidential hopeful has been barred from a poll rerun. Romanian far-right populist Călin Georgescu. Did I say that right? Georgescu has been barred from participating in May's presidential election rerun by the country's Central Election Bureau, triggering clashes between his supporters and police. Do we have video? Is that what this is? This is Bucharest, Romania. Which always looks like such a cool place. The whole world has gone nuts. So yeah, they're protesting in favor of this far-right candidate, which it seems weird to me that a candidate would be barred for running from election, but I don't know the circumstances enough, right? Because clearly I would have told you that Donald Trump should have been barred from running for re-election. Last year, Romania's Constitutional Court annulled November's first round of the vote, in which he came in first after intelligence revealed Russia had been involved in 800 TikTok accounts backing him. I don't know if that's the kind of thing that I have. That seems like flimsy reasoning to try to pull him out. Oin. I totally didn't say that right. Can you give me a phonetical pronunciation? Welcome in, my friend. Thank you for being here. The BBC has rejected his candidacy, or the BEC, I'm sorry. The BBC has no right to reject his candidacy. The BEC rejected his candidacy on Sunday, saying it doesn't meet the conditions of legality as he violated the very obligation to defend democracy. Georgescu called that decision a direct blow to democracy. He now has 24 hours from Sunday's verdict to submit an official appeal to the top court, which should issue a ruling within 72 hours. I don't know enough about Romanian politics to have an informed opinion. I'm just reading you the story. In a social media post, Georgescu called the ban a direct blow to the heart of democracy worldwide. Tear gas was fired at supporters of the presidential hopeful as violence broke out between them and police while they gathered in their thousands outside of the offices of the BEC in the capital of Bucharest. BBC writing, not exactly the best because, you know, they're British. The BBC saw at least one car turned over and the windows of neighboring bars smashed. At least 4 people were detained. While many protesters left the scene, several hundred people remained and continued to fight with riot police who brought in reinforcements and attempted to cordon off the area. On the 26th of February, Georgescu was arrested on his way to register as a candidate in the summer election, prompting tens of thousands of Romanians to march on Bucharest's streets in protest. He was charged with attempting to overthrow constitutional order and membership of a neo-fascist organization. He has denied all wrongdoing. But I mean, is he really a fucking neo-Nazi? I don't fucking know. I'm making no judgments. Did he actually attempt to overthrow constitutional order? Or is it true that they're just saying, and it could be true that Russia did indeed have 800 TikTok accounts that were dedicated to trying to get him elected. And that could be flimsy evidence. But is there more to it? Because they've not presented any other evidence. The 62-year-old independent came from nowhere to win the first round of last year's election, the results of which were annulled just days before the second round of voting. One key to his sudden popularity was his promise to restore Romania's dignity and the subservience to the international organizations it belongs to, including NATO and the EU. Okay. Before last year's annulment, the pro-Russian politician told the BBC he would end all support for Ukraine if he was elected. Georgescu has also seen some support from the Trump administration. Last month, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance accused Romania of annulling the elections based on the flimsy suspicions of Romanian intelligence and pressure from its neighbors. And see, if the fucking Trump administration is on his side, I just deliver the news. So a lot of times I give opinions. But I give opinions on shit I know about. That I don't know fucking shit about. Not enough people in the world dare to have the gall to say they don't have an opinion on something they don't know about. I don't know enough about EU and its apparatus to be able to say it's election interference. The self-appointed head of the EU is a Nazi. What? Foreign affairs is not my thing. International policy, not what you come to Justin for. Don't know about that shit. And not high enough for it. But that's what we're doing right now. We're doing foreign affairs politics. Former ambassador discusses the upcoming U.S.-Ukraine talks to end the war in Russia.
Pyongyang. Russia and Ukraine traded heavy drone strikes overnight and into this morning, even as American and Ukrainian officials prepare to talk about how to end the war. Kyiv says Moscow's bloody weekend of aerial attacks has led to at least 22 deaths. It comes amid a U.S. freeze on weapons.
Royan, that's something a Nazi would say.
Russia released this video of what it says are drone strikes on the Ukrainian military column in Russia's Kursk region. The Associated Press reports that tens of thousands of Ukrainian soldiers there are at risk of being encircled. Tonight, Secretary of State Marco Rubio heads to Saudi Arabia to meet with Ukrainian officials on Tuesday to explore diplomatic paths to ending the war. John Herbst is the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine and Uzbekistan. He's now senior director of the Atlantic Council's.
He said it wrong. I was told it was Uzbekistan.
Eurasia Center. Mr. Ambassador, President Trump's special envoy says the goals of this meeting in Saudi Arabia are to come up with a ceasefire and the
I'm so sorry. That was what a U.S. presidential candidate said in 2016, 2012. It could have been that long ago. So please don't think I'm the one being racist. I think it might have been 2012. It was a actual U.S. presidential candidate said that shit.
Agreement. How likely do you think is that to happen?
I believe that Moscow would like to continue operations. One, to pick up more Ukrainian territory before sitting down to talk, and two, to drive Ukrainian forces out of Kursk. If the administration's objective is to achieve, as it says, a durable peace, which leaves Ukraine sovereign, independent, economically viable, then it's going about it the wrong way.
Going about it the wrong way. Why do you say that?
Because
now
Moscow believes, especially because of the gifts that President Trump has been bestowing on him, that it will be able to, in fact, kick the Ukrainians out of Russia and pick up more Ukrainian territory, because we are now weakening Ukraine's defense. We've stopped military shipments. We've stopped providing intel. And it's not a surprise that the Russians are trying hard to again, conduct an offensive in Kursk, their oblast, where Ukrainian forces have been since August.
So ending arms shipments, ending intelligence sharing, you say those are gifts to Putin?
They're gifts to Putin. And he hasn't, quote unquote, ended it. He's paused it. But first, it seemed to be a pause because of the unfortunate meeting between himself and Zelensky on February 28 in the Oval Office. But then, after Zelensky apologized and Trump seemed satisfied, they put on new conditions. Like now, this will be paused until we see peace talks really starting to move or negotiations set. So undetermined. And again, Putin is taking advantage of this absence of American help to make gains on the battlefield. So if you want to...
We're getting ready to talk about that, Flash.
Do exactly what you're doing. No, I'm not saying that's Trump's goal, but that's the impact of his decisions.
On this point, there was an interview with Mr. Trump that was broadcast this morning on Fox News, and he was asked whether he's being tough on Russia, and here's what he had to say.
I think I've been very tough to Russia. Tougher than anybody's ever been to Russia. Putin would be the first to say it. Nobody's been tougher than Trump.
What do you say?
I bet he would.
Talking about his decision in 2017 to give javelins to Ukraine, I say that's absolutely right. Obama was too timid to do that. If you're talking about now, well, no. He's again taking serious measures that are weakening Ukraine's ability.
Light one up, tip one back. I'm not high enough for this shit.
I believe because he's being criticized precisely along these lines, he said, well, maybe we'll put some economic pressure on him. But he talks about economic pressure on Russia. He takes strong measures against Ukraine. It's easy to see what's going on.
In that Oval Office meeting you referred to, he told Zelensky that he didn't have the cards to keep going. Using that analogy, what kind of hand is Vladimir Putin holding?
The president just took several cards out of Zelensky's hands. One, stopping American military shipments. Two, stopping American intel sharing. And three, we're hearing reports that he's trying to stop European supplies from getting to Ukraine. They're trying to stop commercial satellite companies from providing imagery which could help Ukraine now that they don't have American intelligence. So these are all cards he's taking out of the hand of the weaker party, of the victim. So this may be a self-fulfilling statement.
I want to ask you also about the broader U.S.-European relationship. We've heard France essentially say that we're on our own now. We're going to use our own nuclear weapons as deterrent. What's this done to that alliance?
Well, it has certainly shaken the alliance, and not just in Europe. People around the world are seeing this. And I think it's based upon an approach that doesn't understand how our alliance system has served our interests greatly. Not perfectly. Trump's right, and he's been done well at getting our allies to spend more on defense. But this alliance system has been the pillar of world peace since the end of World War II. It's been not the only reason, but the principal reason why there has not been a major war between great powers. And there's no question that the greatest danger to the United States is when major wars, if we're in a major war with a great power. And the way you bungle into a major war with a major adversary, is to appear weak. And
a dangerous enemy, but a deadly friend. I like that. Those balls.
And fatuous.
Former Ambassador John Herbst, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Elon has been going back and forth with Marco Rubio. Apparently in the Oval Office, apparently on Twitter as well. Musk and Rubio spar with Polish minister over Starlink in Ukraine. Let me make this a little bigger. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and tech billionaire Elon Musk have had a contentious exchange with Polish Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski in a series of expos on Sunday over the use of Musk's Starlink satellite system in Ukraine. In response to a post from Musk mentioning turning off the system, Ckers implied that any threats to shut down Starlink would result in a search for other suppliers. Rubio quickly dismissed the claims that Musk would shut down the system and urged Ckers to be grateful. Oh, you got to pay tribute to Elon. You got to butter him up just like Trump. The trio went back and forth in exchange of posts on X that ended with Musk calling Ckers a small man. Projection. Starlink's system is part of SpaceX's mission to provide high-speed internet to remote and underserved areas like war zones around the world. Sunday's exchange started when Musk posted that Starlink was the backbone of the Ukrainian army. Their entire front line would collapse if I turned it off. Ckers then responded to Musk's post saying that Poland was paying for the service. Starlinks for Ukraine are paid for by the Polish Digitization Ministry at the cost of about $50 million per year. The ethics of threatening the victim of aggression apart, if SpaceX proves to be an unreliable provider, we will be forced to look to other suppliers. Ckers' post caused Rubio to chime in, writing that the Polish foreign minister was just making things up. No one has made any threats about cutting Ukraine off from Starlink, Rubio wrote, and say thank you because without Starlink, Ukraine would have lost this war long ago, and Russians would be on the border with Poland right now, he added. Musk later responded to Ckers' post, calling him a small man. Be quiet, small man. You pay a tiny fraction of the cost, and there is no substitute for Starlink, Musk wrote. Question marks. Imagine having to kiss the ring of fucking Elon Musk. God, I hate this man so much. I'll probably get banned from Twitter because I've been telling him he sucks. Telling him he's a giant piece of shit and stuff. I had him blocked, but then I have to have him unblocked now because he's part of the news. I can't just ignore him. Sometimes what he tweets, I need to see for the show, and it sucks. Because I used to have Elon blocked. Never saw his shit, because it would just fucking... You can't just exist in the Twitter universe without him. He forces himself into your feed, so you have to actually go out of your way to block him. But sometimes I need to have his tweets because I need to be able to see this spat so I can go over it on the show because it has to do with our national security now for some reason. It sucks. Anti-Doge protesters gathered outside of Tesla stores targeting Elon Musk's bottom line.
Tesla turmoil. Stocks are down and Tesla car lots are under attack. As correspondent Nancy Liu reports, vandals are protesting Elon Musk's growing power in Washington since Trump returned to the White House.
Well, the violence comes as Tesla employees around the world are on higher alert due to the activities of company founder Elon Musk. Many dealerships have been picketed in recent weeks and even targeted with criminal attacks. The latest violence in Tigard, Oregon, just outside Portland, where police are investigating vandalism involving gunfire on Wednesday. At least 7 bullets tore into a dealership in an overnight attack, damaging...
May Musk can suck my fucking dick because she can totally be my GOP mommy.
3 cars and shattering windows. No one was injured and so far no arrests. But in another Oregon incident, police have a 41-year-old man in custody. He allegedly targeted a dealership in Salem, causing major damage with Molotov cocktails in January and then opening fire with an AR-15 style rifle last month. Oregon has been a hotbed for protest action against Elon Musk and Tesla. And there's a growing grassroots movement called Tesla Takedown. Lawful picketers are condemning any violence and vandalism.
You have a right to protest. We who served in the military said to give you that right, but not to up and destroy and shoot and burn and whatever. No, go protest. Stand up, scream and holler, get your bullhorn out, go do your thing, but no violence.
Protest actions in Boston and across the country in recent weeks have been largely peaceful, but there have been multiple arrests for vandalism and disorderly conduct. The anti-Elon movement also has people getting
I don't endorse
Teslas,
violence.
including singer Sheryl Crow, who posted a video to social media announcing that proceeds from the sale of her car are going to NPR. Now, so far, no public response from Elon Musk to the stock drop of Tesla and also the ongoing protests. But on X, there are many posts in support of Musk and Doge. Back to you.
Well, that's X. Oh, hold on. This might be the story I was going. No, this is in New York City, apparently.
6 protests.
Mox, that wasn't. Oh my God, that wasn't Sheryl Crow. Do you not know who that was? Or was that Sheryl Crow? And then the other one I showed was. I think that was Elvira. But actually, yeah, now that I think about it, I think I did do Sheryl Crow a couple of weeks ago. That one might have been Sheryl Crow, and the other one was Elvira. Okay, this might be Sheryl Crow. Elvira did the same thing, though. Hold on. And also looked like that. You know, not... Yeah, that's Sheryl Crow. Forgive me for getting her confused with Elvira, who also looked a lot like that. Oh, the newscaster said Sheryl Crow. Okay, I'm just stoned. I wasn't smoking. That's Elvira. And that's Sheryl Crow. See, you can forgive me. They both had the red hair going on. Both dressed kind of similar. Both getting rid of their Teslas. But if you are going to pull something out of your ass, be sure to wash it afterwards.
Life is too short to walk this earth for a crusty asshole. Wash your ass.
Elvira donated hers to... She donated hers to NPR, so it must be a thing. Not the only Tesla protest going on. This happening in Boston earlier today, I believe.
Call it a Tesla takedown. 100 dealers.
Tesla takedown.
Like this one across the country targeted to send a message to the White House and Elon Musk, including this one in the Back Bay. At first glimpse, Tesla boycott rallies appear carnival-like, with bands and chants, but a closer look shows this rally is all about hitting Elon Musk in the wallet.
I hope that they don't buy a Tesla. I hope that if they have a Tesla, sell it and take that resale value. I hope that they sell their Tesla stock.
Sell it, sell it, sell it.
Tesla vehicles that roll by the rally are fair game for these protesters. Just behind the rally, Tesla security keeps a close eye on the 300 people in front of the dealership on Boylston.
Elon Musk has got to go.
In the past week, Tesla boycotters peacefully rallied in Dedham and Watertown, while arson investigators look for those responsible for lighting a Tesla supercharger location in Littleton. And a Boston man was arrested for vandalizing Teslas in Brookline.
We're not condoning property damage for sure, but also Elon should keep in mind that if he wants to attack the basic rights, the basic well-being of regular people, he shouldn't be surprised when some people decide to, do something more direct about it.
This is why we have to be out.
Yeah. He totally believes we don't endorse property damage.
Every day as if we're in front of Elon, Doge, and Trump.
Elon, Trump, and Doge. 3 targets these demonstrators say they will protest as long as they remain in power.
I think that
people are still getting their bearings on what's really happening in this country, and they don't know how quickly things are falling apart, and they don't know how much they stand to lose.
Organizers say 60% of Elon Musk's wealth is tied up in Tesla stock. As far as today's protest, there were no arrests, and organizers say they will.
I assume most of his wealth is tied up in stock of other companies. Like the other 40% isn't liquid. It's tied up in X or Twitter, or blah, 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 or whatever other ventures, SpaceX and shit.
Want peaceful protests. In fact, they say they will be here every week until Elon Musk is no longer part of the Trump administration.
The Emerald Mine was his dad, and that's how he got his startup money.
News Center 5.
How he invested in PayPal in the early years with Emerald Mine money that he walked around with in his pockets. J.D. Vance got a warm... Oh, sorry, Avalon. That's the newsman in me wanting to be all accurate and shit. Didn't detect the sarcasm. That's my bad. J.D. Vance got a warm welcome at his home. Shillbilly.
Good evening, I'm Marilla Porter. Dozens of people protesting Vice President J.D. Vance today. They set up just feet from Vance's home in East Walnut Hills. Local 12's Christian Hauser is here with their message. Christian.
Marilla, I'd say there were about 30, maybe 40 people who came out to voice their opposition to Vice President Vance. Now, they stood at the intersection of Columbia Parkway and William Howard Taft with signs and flags. Now, police actually have Vance's street blocked off in both directions. Now, the majority of signs were related to supporting Ukraine in its war with Russia. This was the second day for these protests.
That's your top issue right now?
About double the amount of people who were there today as compared to yesterday.
Maybe it's the Ukrainian community.
With one couple who actually have family fighting on the front line in Ukraine. Here's some of what they had to say.
Okay, yeah.
We saw a Facebook post out of the blue, and we were feeling really out of the blue that we can't do anything right now, so we came out and have signs here and protesting. So I feel like there is something to do. People need to come out and support and know that U.S. is still with Ukraine.
And while the group did receive plenty of honks and other shows of support from passing drivers, there were some expletive-laden exchanges with supporters of Vance and President Donald Trump. Now, there is another protest planned for tomorrow afternoon in that same area. Marilla, back to you.
All right, thank you, Christian. And the vice president says he was out walking with his 3-year-old daughter, and some of those protesters followed them around while shouting. On X, he said his daughter was scared. Vance says he decided to speak with the protesters in hopes that a few minutes of conversation would leave his toddler alone. While he says the conversation was mostly respectful, Vance criticized the protesters' actions.
Well, fuck you, J.D. Vance. You don't get to be a disrespectful little asshole all the time. They expect people to give you respect. You don't deserve no respect. You know I'm gonna sick on you. Tell them how it is, Bernie.
Explain for a moment what $880 billion in Medicaid means. It means that when in the midst of a healthcare crisis, millions of children will be thrown off of the health insurance they have.
More in Michigan.
A mom or a dad in a nursing home or somebody who may need nursing home, understand that 2 out of 3 people in nursing homes get there through Medicaid payments. Cut Medicaid is going to be harder to get people into nursing homes. Quality of care will deteriorate. We have 32 million people in community getting their health care at community health centers, something that I've worked very hard on, primary health care. 40% of the revenue for community health centers comes from Medicaid.
He's the only one that gives a shit.
Millions of people to get the primary care, the dental care, the vision care that they need. We are not going to allow them to slash Medicaid in order to give tax breaks to the rich. Now, the reason we are in Warren, and we're in Kenosha, and we're in Altoona is that all of these congressional districts have Republican members of Congress who won by a very slim vote. Your congressman...
I hope this bullshit starts to reverse, Lenny.
Apparently you know, Mr. James. So my request of Mr. James is very simple. You know, I'm from Vermont, and I am here doing a town meeting in Warren, Michigan. Mr. James, I think your constituents here in Warren would love to do a town meeting with you. And I think that town...
Let the oligarchs consolidate power.
People, he has the right to make his case. Let him speak.
Is that what you're saying, Mox?
Ask him questions. And I think the question that is most on people's minds is, why would any member of Congress vote for massive tax breaks for billionaires and then cut Medicaid, education, and nutrition?
What's probably gonna happen, and you guys aren't gonna want to hear this, is that the Democratic Party is gonna get taken over by the billionaires that feel they don't have a voice right now in the Trump administration. And it's going to be like the ones that think they're more self-righteous and self-conscious and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to get a neoliberal response. Josh Shapiro is probably going to be the nominee. Somebody like that. And the Republicans are probably going to wreck the economy so bad that if we do still have elections that are meaningful, it will be a shift in the other direction with more aristocratic, plutocratic billionaires. Andy Bashir too pure for that job. We're gonna get a corporate mercenary. And it's gonna be just as bad.
But Mr. Musk and Mr. Trump are not
Anonymously, good evening.
Medicaid and nutrition programs. They're going after Social Security. I think I speak for every member of the Senate in telling you that we get calls every single day from seniors, people with disabilities saying, I'm trying to reach Social Security, I got a problem, I want to talk to somebody. It's taken forever to do that. In fact, shamefully, some 30,000 people die every year waiting for an understaffed Social Security. They are way understaffed today to approve disability benefits. You got that?
They're going to slash offices.
They're on disability, takes them forever to get their issue dealt with, and they die in between. What Musk and Trump are proposing are massive cuts to Social Security staffing, which would make it harder for people to get their claims addressed. That would mean more people will die. That is not acceptable.
The only thing we can hope for to fight this off is a whole bunch of young people getting elected
Honors of my
in the next
Senate
midterm.
life was I chaired for a while the U.S. Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs.
I wish they would both split. Would both parties split?
People, great veterans, not only from Vermont, but all over the country.
But Republicans are spineless.
No matter what your political
Terry, good evening.
may be, I think there is nobody or very few people in America who would disagree that when a man or a woman puts their lives on the line to defend us, we honor our commitments to those veterans.
He's still on his fight oligarchy tour.
Mr. Musk, the VA has announced that they intend to lay off 80.
Yeah, Marks, that's why I said that's the only hope.
At the veterans.
And I said it with a little, you know,
That will mean for veterans to go into VA healthcare.
trepidation in my voice.
Quality of care they get. For veterans who are waiting for their benefits, it will take them longer to get. Now, just yesterday, Veterans of Foreign Wars, the second largest veterans organization in the country, said, quote, "We now call upon VA to reconsider its planned reduction of 83,000 employees." The VFW,
Yeah, I love Bernie for that, Alien.
on the Trump administration, rescind that order.
You're right, Flash. He needs to be grooming like the next generation to take over.
We are not going to balance the budget on the backs of our veterans or our seniors.
The neoliberal order is dead. I don't know what comes next, but I do think that, you know, you're going to see the billionaires that don't feel they're represented by the Trump administration try to take over the Democratic Party. That's what you will see in the lead up to 2028. Bimvox, welcome in. It might get violent. We're in the midst of a paradigm shift. Eventually we come out of this and we're in a much better place with some form of social democracy. If the country survives, it's that or it's a capitalist fucking hellscape. But when you're in the midst of a paradigm shift, it's messy. And it's usually violent. Secret Service shoots a man near the White House earlier today.
Time now 8:10 on the East Coast and 5:10 on the West Coast. Do want to head back here to the U.S. as we are following.
Goddamn, Alien. That's a great quote. Years where decades happen indeed.
Some breaking news coming in out of Washington, D.C. Take a look at your screen right here as this information just coming in from the Secret Service, providing this lengthy statement here after a shooting involving a man near the White House. Obviously, the type kind of small there, but I am going to read the statement for you. On Sunday, March 9th, an adult male was shot by U.S. Secret Service personnel following an armed confrontation with law enforcement in D.C. Earlier Saturday, local police shared information about a suicidal individual who may be traveling to Washington, D.C. from Indiana. Around midnight, members of the Secret Service encountered the individual's
Have you ever been to Indiana?
near 17th and F Street.
You know what fucked up people come from Indiana.
An individual on foot matching the description nearby. As officers approached, the individual brandished a firearm and an armed confrontation ensued, during which shots were fired by our personnel. The suspect was transported to an area hospital, his condition unknown. There were no reported injuries to Secret Service personnel. The incident is under investigation by the Metro Police Department.
I feel let down then.
Division's Force Investigations Team, which investigates all law enforcement officer-involved shootings in the District of Columbia. Again, that is a statement here coming in moments ago from the spokesperson for the Secret Service.
This is earlier this afternoon.
Some more information, not clear if there will be a press conference or another release that is.
Are you going to fly, Lenny?
A lot of questions here, as it's not quite clear the identity of the man involved or how he is doing. We just know from Secret Service this happened sometime around midnight, not far from the White House, and this was an adult male. Again, they did receive that information about a man traveling to Washington, D.C. from Indiana. We are working to piece it together, and we'll bring you updates as we do get them.
He was a 27-year-old man. He had a gun and a confrontation ensued. Here, let me... put the update up here. Oh, fuck you. God damn it. The Secret Service... I'll throw it over here. I can do that. Yeah, that works. The Secret Service shot a 27-year-old man near the White House early Sunday after an armed confrontation with federal officers. Trump was spending the weekend in Florida. On Saturday, Metropolitan Police Department in Washington shared information with the Secret Service that a man was Andrew Dawson is his name, traveling to Washington from Indiana, that he wanted to die suicide by cop. He was armed with a BB gun. His last known address was North Manchester, Indiana. Around midnight, members of the Secret Service encountered the person's parked vehicle. As officers approached, they say they saw a man with a gun, and a confrontation ensued during which the Secret Service shot the man, the agency said. It was not clear whether the man was armed with a BB gun. He was transported to the hospital, and his condition was unknown. There's no reported injuries to the Secret Service agents. Still don't know if there's a change in his condition. Did they kill him? I'd say they probably killed him. Trump was at Mar-a-Lago this weekend, which also saw a crazy security incident. Air Force One intercepts 2 aircraft in restricted airspace near Mar-a-Lago. U.S. Air Force fighter jets intercepted an aircraft that flew over President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida in violation of a temporary flight restriction. It was the second time in 48 hours F-16s from the continental U.S. NORAD region had responded to such aircraft violations over Palm Beach, Florida. NORAD has responded to over 20 tracks of interest entering the Palm Beach, Florida TFR area since Trump's presidential inauguration on January 20th. The jets fired flares that may have been visible to members of the public during the intercept to draw attention from or communicate with the pilot of the civilian aircraft. Flares burn out quickly and completely and pose no danger to people on the ground. Sunday's incident occurred while Trump was at his West Palm Beach golf course. Adherence to TFR procedures is essential to ensure flight safety. The procedures are not optional. The excessive number of recent TFR violations indicates many civil aviators are not reading notice to airmen or NOTAMs before each flight is required by the FAA. Because, I mean, who's running the FAA anyway, you know? I told everybody to cheat on their taxes because nobody's paying attention. Distant Galaxy, good evening. You expect them to be reading the thing they're supposed to be reading every night? Jesus. Nobody's in charge. We're in the crime section of the show, so content warning is getting ready to get a little graphic. Getting ready to get pretty damn graphic. Let's start off in New Jersey, where a 14-year-old charged after a shootout. We may have a good cop involved in this story. Yes, we have a good cop in this story. So congrats on this.
And now to the other big story we are following tonight in Newark. An officer hit during a shootout continues to fight for his life in the hospital. This as a family and police department mourn an officer shot and killed in the line of duty.
Detective Joseph Ascana, a 5-year veteran of the Newark Police Department, was just 26 years old. His alleged killer, a 14-year-old who now faces murder and attempted murder charges.
They could have been beefing over a girl or something. That cop was probably grooming an elementary school student.
His news reporter Anthony Carlo has more from Newark.
It's the worst call any law enforcement family can receive. As one officer recovers here at University Hospital, the family of the other plans a funeral. Members of law enforcement came from all over New Jersey to salute the hearse carrying the body of a Newark detective, just 26 years old.
5-year veteran Officer Joseph Ascana was shot before he even had the opportunity to leave his police car.
It was a wild shootout between police and an armed 14-year-old boy Friday evening. The barrage of bullets shattering school windows and sending kids running down Broadway. Detective Azcana was working with the feds to rid the streets of illegal guns.
I don't know many people that would have went to that scene, knowing that danger lived there.
Detective Azcana and another officer were rushed to the hospital after being shot. Police immediately gathered there, hoping for the best. But at 2:34 a.m., the detective was pronounced deceased.
His mother and his father and approximately 5 brothers were at the hospital mourning him, grieving him.
No, this is America.
Of his career, the 26-year-old made detective.
14-year-old shootout with cop. Oh, man, I've done this story. I've done this show for 5 years almost. We're coming up in another month. I've done this story of a 14-year-old shooting at a cop 3-4 dozen times, at least. So probably 50. Yeah.
Just 2 years ago, and was assigned
This is America.
intelligence unit. The governor calling him and his fellow.
How do guns get in 14-year-olds?
Those 2 guys had, when they went to work yesterday morning, they didn't
get them for their birthday.
The way it did.
A 14-year-old boy is now charged with Detective Azcana's murder. An automatic firearm believed to be the murder weapon was recovered at the scene.
We need to focus laser sharp on trying to find the reason why this
More Christmas
was in the situation that he was. Had a gun, felt he could use it against the police.
Both the surviving officer and the suspect are expected to recover. 5 people are in custody. In Newark, Anthony Carlo, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Anthony. Greatly appreciate it. Well, it's just American culture. I don't know what to tell you. We love our guns. It's a thing. It's the American way of life. God bless us. Oh yeah, I gotta hit the content warning. God damn, I gotta hit the content warning for this one. This may be one of the... We've done some gruesome stories, but get ready. This one's gruesome. Double content warning.
Que se llevaron al George, güey. Soy yo. Soy cocha, güey. Ya, hombre. No mames, bro.
Se metieron hasta el baño, gordo. Se metieron hasta el baño.
I have no idea what's going on in the video. I think that big dude.
Soy yo. Soy cocha, güey. Ya, hombre.
Bobus, good evening.
No mames, bro.
So this is the gang leader who lured 9 Mexican students to a cartel-ridden city. He joked on camera before the murders. This is a video that revealed the moment a gang leader pranked one of the 9 students whose dismembered bodies were found on the side of the road in Mexico last weekend. Jose El Jaca Lavarreja was seen in the clip trying to scare one of the young people inside a hotel before they were all found dead with their hands chopped off on the side of a road in Puebla. Lavarreja, who was friends with the 9 slain students and invited them to cartel-ridden Oaxaca? Fuck, I butchered that, I'm sure. To commit robberies against local people, was also shot dead in his car not long after, with the culprit leaving a note at the scene calling him a thief. In the unearthed video, Lavarga can be seen approaching one of the rooms at Hospindeo Yaca, a hotel he owned in Huatulco, a city in the Pacific Coast state of Oaxaca. They took George, dude, LaVarga said after knocking on the door while several people stood in the background giggling. Dude, it's me, Jaka. It's Jaka. Open up. A young man then opened the door and stepped out, telling Jaka, stop playing, Whitey, when several people behind the camera began to laugh. LaVarga then peeked inside the room when a man pretended to throw a punch, seemingly because he was not too fond of the joke. This is the dude. Looks like he would like looks like the kind of guy that'd have a boy band and exploit them for fame and money. Local outlets reported that Jose LaVarga owned the hotel where the students were staying before they were kidnapped. It's unclear when the 30-second video was filmed, but its release comes as authorities continue to investigate the gruesome murder of 5 men and 4 women who were part of a gang called Los Brejos. The victims were identified as Ruben Ramos, Roland I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry. Sorry to the rest of the victims. An official at the prosecutor's office with knowledge of the investigation told the Daily Mail that La Borrego invited the victims to spend time in Oaxaca. They're friends, the official said. He told them, listen, why don't you come down here for a few days? After the invitation to come to the city, the victims allegedly asked the gang boss if it would be fine for them to steal and engage in other criminal activity. La Borrega eventually led the adults to their own carnage by giving them the green light. When he was asked if the young group could steal from businesses in the town, he responded, there's no problem. The victims, all from the central state of Tlaxcala, took La Borrega's word and set out to commit a wave of muggings and thefts. Oh, dang, she's cute. Or was cute. She kind of looks like an ex of mine. Their crime spree was not welcomed by one of the drug-selling criminal groups that operates in Oaxaca. Since the Los Brejos gang overstepped the line with their menacing activity on rival turf, there's another local criminal group that controls the area near the coast of Oaxaca. And then what happened. Oaxaca. I'm sorry, send me to horny jail. Oh, Galaxy, I know better than that. No, I am self-aware. I own it. Now, I think this is completely unrelated to the previous story. But, you know, you never know. You never know. I do need some weed. A man played soccer with a decapitated head, according to police. I need to pack another one. Oh, Byronic's here. Welcome in. Welcome in. Oh, God, am I out of weed? Where's my grinder? Has anybody... Okay, this might be a deep cut. I don't know how many people will have seen this. Oh, classic move. How many people have seen Hostel Part 2? There's about a bowl in my grinder. Anybody seen Hostel Part 2? Because I love the scene. I don't know how you watched Hostel Part 1 and decided not to watch Part 2. Because I fucking loved Part 1. That was a wild fucking movie. But Part 2 is women. Very women empowerment. At the end, some kids play soccer with a dude's head. And it's quite fun. It's like a whimsical little ending to the movie. That's what this reminded me of. I can't fucking see the story. I have not seen part 3. I forgot that part 3 even existed until you mentioned it, Galaxy. It's a gruesome story out of New Mexico. Joel Arciega Saenz has been found guilty of murdering 51-year-old James Garcia. Arciega Saenz stabbed Garcia 84 times, cut off his head, then played soccer with it. This happened in June of 2021, apparently. Police say Arciega Saenz told him he was experiencing homelessness and slept in a look. That's not a reason to chop off somebody's head, bro. He said Garcia stole his belongings. When he confronted him, he took a knife from him, stabbed him, and cut off his head. Hard out here for a pimp. I really shouldn't do, like, I'm nixing this story. I'm not going to do this. It is kind of wild. It fits in. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. This is not something you see every day, so I feel like I need to say something about it. I hope the kids didn't walk in on it. That's all I have to say. Teacher found dead in a Tennessee classroom from self-inflicted gunshot wound. Teacher found in a Tennessee classroom on Thursday morning died from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. Police identified the teacher at Mumford High School as teacher Samuel Colin Day, adding that the incident occurred around 6 a.m., well before students arrived for class. Officers originally said they responded to an emergency situation at the high school just before the start of the day. There were no indications of foul play and all students were safe. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family. Utilizing the entire body feels more respectful, like, you know, you do with a buffalo, like the natives did with the buffalo and the ox and shit, right? Meanwhile, while somebody had to clean up some brain matter of a teacher in this school, we go to another school where a principal apparently forced a 9-year-old to clean up another student's urine.
They let him down. They humiliated him, embarrassed him.
Kaylin McCarthy is a mother of 3. 2 of her kids go to Ebling Elementary in Macomb. She says on Tuesday her 9-year-old son was upset about something, and when she asked what was wrong, he told her this.
He said, "Mom, the teacher made me get a paper towel and clean up somebody else's pee off the bathroom floor."
The next day, McCarthy spoke to the school's principal, who was allegedly subbing in for her son's teacher the day of the incident.
And the principal told me, yes, she did make my son get she gave him the paper towel and made him clean up the pee off the floor. And because he was the last one to use the bathroom.
She says the principal also told her that it wasn't a custodian's job to clean up the bathroom.
I am very disappointed. This is supposed to be like a really nice school. They have a good name, you know, and I trusted them with my kids.
We reached out to the school district to learn what they had to say about this incident, and they sent us this statement saying, district protocols required that our facility staff and other trained personnel clean and manage our restrooms and classrooms. Currently, the situation is being investigated to ensure that proper protocols are understood and being followed within the building. As this matter involves the privacy of students and staff members, the district will not comment further at this time. McCarthy added that her son is still upset about what happened.
I was embarrassed for my son. He was crying in front of his entire class.
What's the thing you love about?
Well, you know me. If you're gonna do piss play, there's only one kind of piss play I'm into, and that's pissing in Dan Crenshaw's eye pussy. Give me that eye pussy, Congressman. Did I ever smoke the marijuana? It's going to be Christmas before you know it. Mark my word. It's going to be Christmas before you know it. You know what else is going to be before you know it? 420. Do you know what happens on 420? It's the Troll Patrol Live 420. Plead the 5th anniversary spectacular. I give the woman a benefit of a doubt. If you're gonna get on TV and cry, you probably experienced trauma you're indicating. It seems the school indicates. I don't know. I just hear pee and I see Dan Crenshaw's just all around my head. That's all I can think about. I didn't even pay that much attention to the story. I don't remember the details. Also, I was taken aback. I didn't mention this, but I thought that the mom looked like a little kid herself. I thought it was like a classmate was talking about it. Cricks, good evening. Okay, hit the content warning for this one again. We apparently got some footage from inside a nightclub where a woman was shot and killed.
Stone Park police say a 21-year-old woman was shot and killed here at Mansion Live. The victims
on International Women's Day.
Family identifying her as Zulma Daniela Calderon Pacheco. They say Zulma came out here with her boyfriend and other family members to dance and have a good.
Boy, am I glad she said it, not me. You've seen the trouble I've had tonight.
As Zulma Daniela Calderon Pacheco. They say Zulma came out here with her boyfriend and other family members to dance and have a good time. Unfortunately, she did not make it home. Through tears, Fabiola Pacheco is trying to make sense of this tragedy. Zulma was the oldest out of 5 children. The family sharing these videos with ABC7. They say Zulma recorded them on her cell phone, showing her having a good time with her boyfriend and cousins at Mansion Live. Hours later, they got word that something was wrong.
My mom came in and she had told me to get up because something had happened and I didn't know.
Mr. Elwood.
And my mom was shaking me and I was scared. And then she had told my uncle that my sister got shot.
Stone Park police say a fight broke out inside the club and a security guard pulled out a gun and shot and killed the 21-year-old. The suspect is in custody.
Es muy difícil ver esos videos porque
Fabiola says it is tough to watch the video circulating. She recognized her daughter standing behind her boyfriend and noticed when Zulma fell to the ground. In a statement, in part, Mansion Live says our thoughts and deepest sympathies are with everyone touched by this tragedy, and we are doing all we can to support local authorities families as they navigate this difficult time. And this is not the first time
fucking rent-a-cop
happened here. 5 years ago, a separate shooting also took place here at Mansion Live. In the meantime, the family of Sulma says they have set up a GoFundMe page to help cover the funeral costs. We have a link to that on our website. That is abc7chicago.com.
I sort of try. I made a horrible joke. Was it last night or something? I think it might have been before this time. It might have been night before last. I don't fucking remember. Might have been the night we did Space Ghost. Like, I was like, I'm self-aware about it. I correct I'm like, that's horrible. And like, it's worse because I'm self-aware. It's worse because I know I'm doing it. Just a horrible person. I'm trying to get woke. I am. I'm trying. Trying not to be a shock jock and an edgy comedian, all the shit people have called me. A video shows an upset customer ram into a CarMax, apparently injuring 8 people. In Inglewood.
Now at 11, chaos inside a CarMax dealership. People are sent running for safety as a driver rams through the building. Hello and welcome to the News at 11. I'm Corrine Winter.
And I'm Mary Beth McDade in tonight for Rick Chambers. We begin with that wild story out of Inglewood. An upset customer gets behind the wheel.
How'd she say it?
On a rampage at a CarMax dealership.
That incident was caught on camera. The driver is seen speeding through the building, hitting everything in its path. 8 people were injured.
Energy Flow, welcome in.
KTLA's Rachel Menitoff is live in Inglewood with more on what exactly sparked this rampage. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Corrine. Hi, MB. Good evening to you both. This was a customer having his car appraised here today. And according to witnesses, he was upset by the appraisal or maybe the service, got into a confrontation with an employee, and then got into his car and drove through the lobby of the store. Chaos at this
Well, it certainly ain't worth that much now.
Intentionally rams his car through the front of the dealership. Miguel Hernandez was shopping for a new car when he stumbled upon this.
Fair enough, Galaxy.
Capturing on camera the terrifying moment, an uncontrollable driver crashes through the glass doors.
Have a good evening, Lenny. Light one up, tip one back.
But once I walked around, I just started hearing people screaming, "Run, get out the way!" And
move, bitch, get out the way.
8 people inside were injured, including store employees and customers. According to fire officials, 2 people were taken to the hospital in critical condition.
all I see is just the car like coming towards me and then reversed back into the shop and made their own exit through the other side. His reaction was incredible because, man, who knows what kind of charges he's going to get charged now just because he didn't like his approval.
The man behind the wheel wasn't
probably like attempted murder
through that exit point, but was soon found and arrested.
It doesn't happen around here that much. Not that kind of stuff. Shock.
Roosevelt Bland was also witness to the aftermath.
I'm not even sure.
What a cool name.
What the heck? And I just kept going because I was like,
that dude, his name is Roosevelt Bland. That dude has crushed some pussy in his life.
It must have been an accident, but I went to the store, which I'm going to go right now, and I came back, like I said, and it was like a whole chaos around here. So I realized it was something bigger than that.
Construction crews worked through the night to repair the entryway, although there wasn't any major structural damage to the building itself.
I'd let him fuck me.
Meantime, many passers-by wondering what this person was thinking and why he chose to go down this path of destruction.
You know, one day you're shopping for a car, and next thing you know, this happens to you. You know, luckily, you know, I mean, what happened, but I mean, at the end of the day, hopefully everything comes out good, you know?
I mean, is it weird that if I was an employee, I'd be like into that? Because like they're gonna send me home. Hopefully they pay me for a full day. I'd ask for a full day. Be like, seriously, you're not gonna pay me for the full fucking day? No, come on. If I was an employee.
And CarMax sent us a statement tonight saying the safety of its customers and employees is its top priority. It's now working with local law enforcement, and its heart goes out to everyone impacted here today. We're live in Inglewood tonight. I'm Rachel Menitoff, KTLA 5 News. Back to both of you.
Michael, here's the thing. I've been doing this show for 5 years. We had one like last week. A good couple of dozen times for sure, yeah. It's anecdotal, right? But also, I do the fucking news almost every night. I'm pretty up on what's going on around here. Like the gun stuff. Well, it's just another day, but not mass shooting USA. I'm gonna have to make a new graphic. It's just another day in plane crash USA.
So today at 3:18 p.m., a small 6-seater aircraft, a Beechcraft Bonanza, crashed here on the property of Brethren Village. 5 passengers were on board. All 5 passengers were transported by local EMS agencies to local hospitals for treatment. No structural damage occurred on the Brethren Village property. We did have multiple vehicles catch on fire due to the aircraft. We are now transitioning to a recovery and an investigation phase, and we are awaiting additional information from our federal partners on next steps. At this time, is there any questions from the media?
Anyone on the ground hurt?
No, there was not. Only the 5 that were on the aircraft where the injured individuals have been transported to local hospitals.
Do you know the conditions? Multiple vehicles, how many?
There's at least 5 vehicles that sustained damage on the Brethren Village property.
About a dozen in total. 5 that were severely damaged.
Was the plane coming from Lancaster Airport?
Yes, the plane did take off from Lancaster Airport.
You are correct. Analogical goat. Welcome in, my friend. You are correct. Still statistically the safest mode of travel. I showed the statistics the other day that there have actually been less accidents this year in both January and February than on a normal year than compared to last year. It's kind of wild. But there have been more fatalities this year than fucking like any year in like the last 20 years or something. It's insane. Yes, there have been less accidents, but more fatalities. So you've heard about it more. It's wild.
Signs of duress from the plane?
We don't at this time. It is all under investigation by our federal partners.
Air traffic control sounded like perhaps a door open.
And I'm fascinated by facts like that.
That would be under the investigation on our federal partners at this point.
Could you characterize the injuries?
The 5 patients are all being looked at this point by the doctors at the local hospitals.
For burns?
Oh, did they live?
We know.
We've got video of, let me get like something updated here. This was when it happened earlier this afternoon. I'm going to let you see this wild video of firefighters putting out cars near the plane crash. Why would that disappoint me? I'm excited they lived. What? Do you really take me as like somebody's like into the... You think I'm like a sadist or some shit? That I was hoping people would die? What? I thought you knew me better than that, balls. Wow.
Terrifying moments tonight in southern Pennsylvania, where the governor says a small private plane crashed near Lancaster Airport.
They're receiving multiple calls for a aircraft crash at the airport.
The FAA says the plane, known as a Beechcraft Bonanza, crashed around 3 p.m. local time. Authorities say 5 people were on board. Air traffic control indicating there may have been a serious incident in the lead-up.
Lancaster Tower, Bonanza 347 Mike has an open door. We need to return for a landing.
Mike, pull up. Rescue 1, Lancaster Tower. The aircraft is down out just behind the terminal on the parking lot street area.
Dramatic video shows thick smoke and flames billowing out of cars. The governor says the Pennsylvania State Police is on the ground to assist first responders. This video showing part of the plane lying on top of cars near this building. This crash coming after a string of aviation crashes and close calls in the last 2 months.
Marissa Parra is joining us now. And Marissa, I understand we have an update.
What up, Marissa?
Minutes now.
Hallie, we are just now learning from authorities.
Also, Kinsai, good evening.
Were taken to the hospital, but they did not give an update on their current status. We do know that the FAA and the NTSB are on their way to the scene now to begin that investigation. Hallie?
Yeah, most of the incidents that we have seen have been small planes, sans like, you know, the one that hit the helicopter.
Marissa Parra, thank you very much.
Thanks for watching.
Shut up, Lester. And then we've had like a couple incidents on runways. Chris Erickson, you do not want to know what I almost attempted to say until I looked over and saw that you capitalized. You do not want to know what I was getting ready to call you. Because, like, I'm dumb. I can't read names. But, Chris, welcome in, my friend. I hope you're having a fantastic evening. No, Lester will still be on the back card of these YouTube videos. Chris don't give a flying fuck and called me kiddo. That's sweet of you to call me kiddo and welcome in. But Lester will totally, so he's staying, he's going to like Dateline full time. So Lester will totally still be on the back card. And I bet they'll still bring him in for special events. Like they'll have like a transition period where like the new anchor will have to gain credibility. But like 2028 election coverage, Lester gonna be there. I don't know it for sure, but I'm just guessing. Lester's been the face of NBC for so long. But yeah, he's staying with Dateline. Shut up, Lester. And then we've got his kids. We've got his kids to deal with. One of them is a reporter. We saw the two Holts together one time. That was wild. New York is under a state of emergency following wildfires that have broken out.
This morning, firefighters on New York's Long Island battling a dangerous outbreak of brush fires, at least 4 raging along the Sunrise Highway.
Holy
Cars driving past thick smoke, flames erupting on the side of the road, at least 1 firefighter injured.
A second-degree burn on the face of one of our firefighters. I hope that's the extent of it.
And so far, at least 2 structures damaged.
I have a building on fire now.
Multiple roads forced to close, including the main highway that leads to the Hamptons. Massive plumes of smoke visible for miles. New York Governor Kathy Hochul declaring a state of emergency.
We always have to be prepared for the worst.
The National Guard providing air support with helicopters doing water drops. Dozens of fire departments responding, battling the flames up close. The combination of low humidity and strong wind gusts fanning the flames. The National Weather Service issuing an elevated fire risk.
So yeah, we've got wildfires all over the fucking country, actually. We've also got wildfires raging in the Carolinas. The latest update on the Long Island brush fires is that they are almost entirely contained. So that's good news. The Carolinas continue to burn. They've been going for like a week now.
Turning now to the coast, the South Carolina Forestry Commission says their firefighters will get some much-needed rest as crews from Florida arrive to help fight the Carolina forest fire. Today, the commission announced that Florida's Forest Service Incident Management Team will assume command of the fire. The additional help is all part of the Southeastern Forest Fire Compact, which provides support to states from Texas to Virginia. Right now, the South Carolina Forestry Commission says the wildfire is still at 55% containment. The commission adds that Horry County will remain under a burn ban until further notice.
Nasty fire indeed. Let's go to, this is a meteorologist, tells of his experience of being on the ground during the fires in South Carolina. And yeah, it's not getting near as much coverage as the rich people in California. I don't think these are near as bad as California. Definitely not as costly as California. But it should definitely warrants coverage. Clearly, we're talking about it here on the show.
Mr. Powell, speaking of meteorologists working long hours.
Yes.
Myrtle Beach making the national news this week for all of the wrong reasons. The epicenter of one of the, if not the biggest fires. And we saw dozens of them across both North and South Carolina this week. Tell us about the Carolina forest.
And this year could be a fucking crazy year for fires.
Saturday morning, a fire weather warning was issued for all of the Grand Strand and the PD of South Carolina. And so everybody's kind of on pins and needles, knowing that possibility.
Yeah, apparently they did arrest a woman.
Possible. It's been very dry here, and it seems like every event that's come our way has kind of dried up before it's got here. The only really long-lasting precipitation was the winter storm we had a couple weeks ago. That southwest wind is a blowtorch wind, so you get that wind coming in out of the south and southwest. And Saturday it was up in the mid to upper 70s, even here at the coast. And so it was just kind of that prime factor of dry conditions, low relative humidity, and gusty winds. We were seeing wind gusts upwards of 30, 40 miles per hour, and it didn't take much for ignition to start. In fact, this evening I was out there doing some reporting.
Yeah, it's not even spring yet.
Our investigation team out there.
But aren't we in like a La Nina or some shit? Like it's supposed to be cooler and wetter, but we're gonna still see the effects of climate change. Bound, good evening.
Just kind of looking through the forest and stuff. So there has been one arrest.
So that was a person who was arrested for violating the burn order.
That's correct.
The no burn order.
Yeah, so
shit, flying some cable.
I think it was Friday or maybe Saturday. He issued.
That's a tough job. I've done that shit.
You need to abide by the burn rule. If you're called, will go to jail. And that was direct words from the governor. And so the gentleman who was arrested was contacted by Horry County officials one time and was given a citation. He decided he didn't know about the warning, the burn ban. And then he got called for a second time, and he went to jail. So he is in jail.
Being stubborn.
But anyways, this fire quickly. By Saturday night, I'm sure you've seen the images of places like the.
What were they in, like baskets right in the ceiling or something?
Tuckahoe Road. I've got a picture of that Saturday night where it's went world national wide of the flames and the home. And the firefighters been battling those tall flames. And then I was at that house today, and you can kind of see the tops of the trees scorched from the fire. So there you go. That's it right there. So that was Saturday night, and then that's the perspective. You can see how tall those pine trees are. And if you take a closer look at that picture of the home today with the blue sky, you can actually see where part of the roof there and the awnings there are melted from the fire, and portions of the roof are burnt from the embers. So it got that close to people's homes. And we are so thankful for Horry County and the entire state of South Carolina and North Carolina who sent fire departments here to help us. As of right now, the only
wild video. This is the woman who was arrested for apparently setting fire in her backyard.
On the woman who authorities say is responsible for starting the more than 2,000-acre wildfire. This is WMBF News at 5 o'clock. We're glad you're with us. I'm Eric Weisfeld.
And I'm Rachel Bogle. Of course, this is a story we've been following for you all week as the fire this woman is accused of starting has now sparked chaos all across the Carolina Forest area. And now fire
that makes sense.
Working day and night trying to get it under control.
That was kind of like the issue with California earlier this year.
Who joins us live from Covington Drive. And Ashley, you spoke with those who knew the suspect. What are they telling you today?
What up, Ashley?
Eric, Rachel, a lot of emotions tonight here at Covington Lake after 40-year-old Alexandra Bialoso was charged in sparking this massive Carolina forest wildfire. But many people tell me tonight that someone needs to be held responsible for this tragedy.
I feel sorry for her, but I'm glad that she's going to be held responsible.
She deserves to have consequences for her actions.
Frustration and relief mounting tonight after Bialoso allegedly started a fire Saturday in this backyard fire pit. Those that watched the fire grow tell me Bialoso appeared to be in shock as the flames jumped into the tree line, causing
it was an accident,
forcing people to evacuate.
Her face was, it's like the blood had rushed out of her face, and she knew she had messed up.
It was terrifying to see, thinking when you're leaving that the neighborhood is going to be gone.
But then I don't know if I want her arrested.
That Horry County and the state of South Carolina were under a burn ban that day. The South Carolina Forestry Commission says Bialoso did not have an appropriate water source readily available or any garden tools on hand to control the fire.
I really
that's stupid.
It's, you know, I'm sure she didn't intend for any of this to happen, but I don't excuse her for being so negligent.
The agency says the fire then spread to land owned by Walker Woods HOA and has burned now over 2,000 acres. Many are now pushing for stricter laws, saying this can't happen again.
This is taking a toll on families, on pocketbooks, on houses, on emotions, on firefighters.
Whatever she's going to face, she's going to have to deal with that.
If convicted,
she was just out to
up to 60 days in prison and a $400
roast some hot dogs on a Saturday or some shit.
Leaders to propose stricter laws. Reporting live in Carolina Forest, Ashley Liss from WMBF News.
Yeah, damn, I feel really bad because she probably the first nice day she went out. She's like, let me get the pit going. Oof. That's rough. Let me show you. I've got it. Hold on. Let me get this different video here. I've got an after video. Let's get the before video. There's this tree house in California. It's apparently like a local landmark kind of deal. Do I not have the video? Oh, no, there it is. There it is. This was Friday, Saturday. City forcing the homeowner to tear down this treehouse.
It is the final night for what may be one of the most iconic.
Oh my God!
Ever built. The Boney Island treehouse in Sherman Oaks is scheduled to be torn down tomorrow after its owner endured a long, drawn-out legal battle with the city to keep it standing. The Simpsons producer who built the treehouse says he's had lots of support from the neighborhood, but in the end, you can't fight City Hall.
The Simpsons producer.
Sherman Oaks, where community is saying goodbye to Boney Island after 24 years. Rachel.
Micah Share, the homeowner, says it came to a point where the red tape, the restrictions, and finally the criminal charges were all too much to bear.
Bullshit.
He's been removing a lot of the props, the furniture, kind of having one last hurrah with the neighborhood kids, and says he's really sad to see this place go.
This is America.
Climbing through this whimsical maze, you notice the carefully constructed details. Sitting high above the Sherman Oaks treetops, it's an homage to childhood. And throughout the years, it's been updated with more adult features like a bar and a mini fridge of beers.
It just felt really nice and homey up here, you know.
Rick Polizzi, a former producer on the animated series The Simpsons, built the treehouse 24 years ago with his daughters in mind.
They would have their friends come over and play, and any neighbor that came by, we would say, come on up.
And since that time, it's been featured in segments on HGTV.
Yeah, this seems like bullshit.
Talent, and has drawn A-list celebrities to the neighborhood for an annual Halloween bash.
Everybody that you saw in movies and TV were always here with their families. You know,
that's what I was thinking, War Machine. Also, welcome in.
You know, up in the treehouse.
But Polizzi says legal troubles started when a neighbor complained about the increasing attention the homemade fort was drawing. For the past 7 years, he's been working to defend his treasured treehouse to the tune of $50,000 and even a criminal charge. The Hollywood producer says he's spent countless hours trying to acquire the right permits and comply with zoning requirements, only to get the runaround from City Hall.
It's just all these crazy restrictions for a treehouse that's 115 square feet. And it just became a nightmare trying to go back and forth between departments and the Department of Building and Safety. Everybody passes you to someone else.
BS indeed.
Rahman sent us a statement saying she's limited in what she can say due to ongoing litigation, but she did write this. Our goal has always been to find a pathway to preserve the treehouse, which has brought so much joy to neighbors, and our office is ready and eager to continue that work in cooperation with Mr. Polizzi. Polizzi, though, says months ago this same office told him there was nothing they could do, so he's resigned to take it down and say one final goodbye.
There's no reason for it. It's really not warranted. It's been up 24 years. We've never had one single incident. It just gets caught up in city red tape, and there's no way to untangle yourself from it.
Move out of the city.
Now, part of the agreement with the city is that once Rick demolishes the treehouse, the criminal charges against him will be dropped. So he has a construction crew coming out first thing tomorrow morning, and they're going to do exactly that. We're live in Sherman Oaks tonight. I'm Rachel Menetoff. Share Micah. Back to you.
They mentioned an HOA, didn't they? I'm sorry to have to show you this. I hate it.
Now new at 10, what used to be a landmark, neighborhood landmark, is now just a pile of debris heading to a landfill. This is what's left of the treehouse that used to be the centerpiece of Boney Island, a beloved Halloween event in Sherman Oaks. Neighbors began to complain about the crowd, so Boney Island was moved to a natural history museum. After that, Rick Polizzi says the city came for the treehouse that occupied his yard for nearly 25 years.
The city has started a criminal trial on it, and that trial is on Wednesday, and the city is going to make me pay for court costs, and it's just kind of being a bully. And so I'm taking it down. We're paying for it to get taken down, so they dismiss the charges.
According to Polizzi, the dispute
this was America.
But after spending more than $50,000 on legal fees and zoning permits, the former Simpsons producer has accepted defeat.
Oh, that's really sad. I guess you could use a really good animal video to cheer you up. Right. I'm not ready to bail yet. You guys, oh shit, oh shit. I didn't know the cat was gonna try to draw blood on the monkey. How many of you thought it was a little kid when you first started watching it? How many of you want to watch a police chase and listen to music? He moved it to a history museum, a natural history museum. I'm glad you thought it was an infant. That's what I was going for. But what a video. Like, I have so many questions. Like, who dressed the monkey, first of all? You put it in a little outfit. It's like it's got the cat in a headlock now. I wonder if they're friends. They're both somebody's pets. They probably like lay together on the couch and shit. What up, Ace? Good evening. Welcome in. So yeah, I've come to the end of the news, but I'm not ready to head out yet. You guys want to watch a police chase? So I got one from a day or two ago. Well, just more proof that we are monkeys. We little monkey. I didn't know how adorable cat monkey wrestling. I don't know if it's fatal. I do believe there are several crashes though. I think there are multiple attempts at pit maneuvers. Does that make you feel better, Monsieur? Don't think it's fatal, but I know that the cops attempt multiple pit maneuvers. Oh man, the cat's totally hitting the kangaroo kicks. Those are not pleasant. Oh, the monkey had it by the ear. The monkey pulling on his ear. I just noticed that. And the monkey getting dirty too. But I think they're just playing. I bet they're buddies. This is just good old-fashioned wrestling going on here. Yeah, the cat biting his head. Like the monkey's trying to do a headlock or something. Then it gets distracted. What, do you see a cute girl? What do you see, monkey? Look at how adorable he is. We're probably in some Asian country, aren't we? Is that racist of me to say? We don't have cat monkey wrestling in the U.S. We've got gun violence. Cat monkey wrestling happens in other countries. Cancel. There's a cancel Justin emote because I say so much fucking horrible shit. I'm just like, I'm glad. Do you want to video this? Oh hell yeah. It's on Facebook, unfortunately. I'm just glad I can never like get really canceled. Cause like, what in the fuck could pop up that you guys would be like, oh yeah, that doesn't sound like Justin. What like you like fucking it's gonna be really great if I get some sort of notoriety and then the my use of the N-word on a podcast pops up. And it's like in like the first 5 minutes. Now I stand by nuclear. I stand by what I said, but you probably shouldn't use the N-word just because it's not effective communication. Because even if what you're saying, I was a Louis C.K. fan, so like this is the time period and everything, and he had the whole bit where he said the N-word. So like I wanted to be like Louis C.K. and I stand by what I said. The content of the thing that I said is correct, but you shouldn't use the N-word just because then it becomes a debate on whether you're allowed to use the N-word or not. Neuropsychophobmagicala. Okay, I can show you. You'd be like, no, Justin, don't. I made a meme of it. I made a meme of the joke. I was asked about Confederate monuments. And so I was like, they're just giant signs that say. But even if the content of what you're saying is spot on, it just becomes a debate about whether you're allowed to use the N-word or not. So it's not effective communication. And that's when I realized it's not my place to say the N-word, and I quit doing it. But there is audio of me out there on a podcast saying that. Yeah. So this is probably like 2016, 2017, somewhere around there. So Confederate monuments. Yeah, that's that time period. So if that audio service is, you guys are going to be like, yeah, that's totally Justin. My accent. Just because I'm Southern. Seriously, War Machine. That makes me hungry. Oh my God. IPA, welcome in. I mean, that's the two food groups, right? Oh my God, I can't believe I went with it. Cancel Justin. I've done that. I told Dave my heart went out to him the other day. Oh my God. Okay. YouTube people, podcast people. We're going to say goodbye to you. Light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. Troll Patrol tomorrow night. You know the drill.